to Donna Marie and Caroline for their help on the programme. I'll talk to you Saturday morning at 10 o'clock for the Saturday Rewind. Lee's back tomorrow morning with an audio alarm clock from 6:30. Up next, Greg Hughes is here with the 9 till noon show. Morning, Greg.
Rory, enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks very much for that. It is 9 o'clock. It's time for our first news update of the morning, and we say good morning now to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Up to 30,000 hospital procedures will be cancelled due to a strike over the next 2 days. 2,100 medical scientists are picketing over pay and career development issues. They're refusing to carry out routine lab services from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. today and tomorrow. Procedures will be impacted at Letterkenny University Hospital, with long delays expected in the emergency department as a result. Tony Canavan, the chief executive of the Sealta Healthcare Group, says the strike will badly affect patients.
This is going to have a very significant impact across all of the hospital services in the country, and in the sales group it will impact on patients who have already been cancelled for elective surgical procedures, patients who have been cancelled for endoscopy procedures, and also patients that have been cancelled for their outpatient appointments during the day-to-day. So the impact on patients is going to be very significant.
A public consultation event held in Buncrana last night has been hailed a success. Hundreds of people were in attendance to view plans for a new leisure centre for the town and the major €20 million repowering Buncrana initiative that will see the town's shorefront developed. Plans are also in place to purchase the old Garda station to pave the way for office space. Cahirlock of Donegal County Council, Councillor Jack Murray, says the potential for Buncrana is vast.
I'm advised by the Council's Economic Development Unit that some 50% of queries that are now coming into Donegal County Council with regards to the foreign direct investment or job creation or people looking to invest in commercial facilities are for the town of Buncrana. So that just shows the potential that the town has. Part of the public meeting last night was about the local area plan, and we began looking to identify more areas for economic development because I think there's huge potential for job creation as
€3 million is to be made available to encourage farmers to grow potatoes again. Agriculture Minister Charlie McConlogue will seek Cabinet approval for the spot fund this morning. It's to be spread over the next 2 years and can be used for specialised equipment and storage. Minister Charlie McConlogue says the grant money can be used by farmers in several ways.
The €3 million investment will be invested in new equipment, also in storage facilities and also in marketing. And I certainly hope to see additional jobs and indeed what was a really strong traditional industry revived through this investment.
Weather now today will bring sunny spells and scattered showers, a few of them heavy. This evening clouds will increase with rain and drizzle moving in and highest temperatures of 13 or 14 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Can I get 2 specials, please? 1 sourdough and Caesar salad. And by the way, I'm 12 weeks pregnant.
Yes, Chef.
We don't always know who's at risk from COVID-19 and other viruses, but we do know how to protect them. Keep hands clean and wear a mask. Let fresh air in, get vaccinated, and stay at home if you are unwell. From the HSC. For us all.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning to you. It's Tuesday the 24th of May, 3 minutes past 9. You're welcome along to another edition of the 9 till noon show on what is, across the Northwest, seemingly, anyway, from what I've seen, a dampish enough morning, but all roads are leading to nice weather Friday, Saturday and Sunday at least. So that's something, if you like, good weather. That's something for us to look forward to. And you've got plenty to look forward to over the next 3 hours. The lines have just opened for you right now. You can call us on 074 91 25000, having a view on what we're talking about today across all the big stories as you'd expect, and to raise your own issues, pass on your own stories. WhatsApps and texts 086 60 25000. Right, let's look at the papers this morning. The Donegal Democrat: we owe it to mothers and their unborn babies to make sure that abortion is never normalised scrutinised in our society because it involves the ending of an innocent, defenceless human life. That was just one of the many messages delivered to the hundreds that attended the pro-life campaign's March for Life in Bundoran on Sunday afternoon. Donegal Aontú candidate and pro-life activist Mary T. Sweeney from Letterkenny and chair of the pro-life campaign in the county, Margaret McGeehan from Glenswilly, addressed the attendees, or those attended, as did Cavan Aontú councillor Sarah O'Reilly and a list of others as well. And there's pictures on the front of and inside the papers today. The Derry Journal, an Inishowen councillor has said a water tanker has to happen for Inishowen before it's too late and someone dies. For over 2 years, Fianna Fáil councillor Martin McDermott has called for the firefighting apparatus to be made available permanently for the peninsula. He raised the matter once again at last week's Inishowen Municipal District meeting, at which he was told his comments would once again be passed on to the relevant officials. Speaking to the Journal yesterday, Councillor McDermott highlighted how much time has passed since he first asked for a water tanker for the peninsula. It's understood councillors have been told there is a greater need elsewhere in Donegal for the apparatus. Okay. On to the Irish Independent today. And by the way, we've been talking about passports. Apparently, it's not the passport office's fault. It's not the government's fault. It's not TD's fault. It's our fault. The reason for the delay in passports is nothing to do with a backlog. There's no backlog. It's because we can't fill out forms. That's the claim anyway. The Department of Foreign Affairs insists there's no backlog in processing passports and has blamed forms being incorrectly filled out as 195,000 people wait for their delayed travel documents ahead of summer holiday season. 4 in 10 passport applications are incomplete, and this is the major cause of long delays, the Department of Foreign Affairs has said. Reacting to criticism of huge passport backlog, it denies such a backlog exists because only checked and completed applications enter processing. While the Passport Service is experiencing a very high volume of applications, this does not represent a backlog, a spokesperson said. Applications are all being processed in the usual way, with a continuous stream of new applications and a continuous dispatch of completed passports happening every day. Applications that are correctly completed are being processed by passport services within the average turnaround times, the department spokesperson said, adding that since March, the turnaround time for first-time applications had reduced from 40 to 30 days, with staff numbers increasing from 600 to 900. TDs, of course, are being inundated with calls from constituents facing long waits as the summer approaches. But it doesn't. That doesn't seem to tally with what we're hearing here, because lots of people apply for the passport. It's delayed for months on end. There's no indication that things haven't been filled out correctly. The passport is processing on the website, and then they get a TD or someone to make some representations, and the passport all of a sudden is available. That doesn't mean forms aren't being filled out correctly, does it? And if so, like what I would like to ask the passport office, if that is the case, how quickly are they identifying forms not being filled out correctly and passing that information on to the paying customer? We are paying for this document that we're obliged to have to travel. So I think there certainly is some responsibility there, at the very least, in terms of communication, but I'd be pretty sceptical about there being no backlog. I don't know what you guys think. 086 60 25,000. We're going to be talking about this a little later on. A Limerick-based Garda is facing disciplinary action, including possible dismissal. This is what he did. He activated his blue light when a stolen car drove past, the Garda Representative Association has outlined. The incident was cited by the association's leadership at its annual conference as an example of the bureaucracy to which it says Garda is subjected to. It also highlighted the lack of fully qualified Garda drivers to respond to emergencies, it said. So, I presume most people are aware, because we've discussed this on this programme years ago. But unless a guard has received a certain level of driver training, someone can fly past them, someone can rob a bank, someone can evade a checkpoint, and if they haven't done this training in the driving of the vehicle, advanced training, they cannot follow them. They can't speed after them. In other words, they have to stay within the speed limit, and they can't activate the blue lights. So that's the situation now. You might say, well, that's pretty fair. Train them all up. Well, that's the problem, you see. There's no training available an awful lot of the time, or there's an awful lag in the training. Well, the Garda was at a junction when he saw a car he knew to be stolen driving in the other direction. He activated his lights to alert the public to the danger and turned his car around to see where the stolen car was going, said GRA President Frank Thornton. The Garda did not give chase. And he was only qualified to competency-based driving CBD level 1. He's facing a board of inquiry for his actions. Only Gardaí qualified as CBD level 2 drivers can use the emergency lights and sirens. The board has the power to recommend various penalties, including dismissal for activating the blue lights. The Irish Daily Mail tells us that Ireland could be set to introduce tobacco-style health warnings on car adverts under new proposals being unveiled in the Dáil today. An expert previously told an Oireachtas Housing Committee hearing that car adverts are often unrealistic and very sexy, with no other cars on the road. Politicians were also informed that motor vehicle adverts ignore climate change and pedestrian injuries, and that mandatory warning on adverts have been used for other public health campaigns. Now, a new Housing Committee report has cited those experts who note that France has introduced a similar warning on car adverts, advising the public that they should walk when possible to avoid the worst effects of global warming. Okay, so can you imagine if our car adverts now at the end says, the government recommends you should walk instead? I don't know. And adverts have to feature pedestrians and... I mean, back in the day, cars used to be driving around, rally tracks and all that kind of stuff and screeching tyres, and they did put an end to that, but this sounds to me like it's just going too far. Next thing you know, is adverts for razors. You have to have people coming in and out of the bathroom when you're using it, or windows left open or towels on the floor just to present a realistic scenario of what it's like to have a shave. I don't know. I think we could find ourselves, if we're not already, going a little bit OTT on some of this stuff. The Irish Daily Star: a senator faces sleeping in his car in Dublin for the next 2 to 3 weeks because he can't get a hotel room. The dote. Roscommon-based Eugene Murphy said that he has only been able to get a room to stay in Dublin on one night in the past 3 weeks, and he can't secure anywhere to stay for the next 2 or 3 weeks because of the chronic room shortage. Exorbitant prices in the capital. Now, he has a car. I don't understand why he doesn't go to one of the counties around Dublin and commute in and out of work. I think a lot of people listening to this programme would travel within Donegal 45, 50 minutes, an hour, maybe even more, an hour and a half. Would he not be better, rather than sleeping in his car in Dublin, maybe trying to find accommodation on the outskirts and driving in and out? Well, the senator has a 288-kilometre round trip to his Roscommon home, so he fears he may have to sleep in his car if there's a late-night Shannon sitting. Mr Murphy said he has slept in his car in a petrol station car park twice in the past 2 months instead of driving to Roscommon late at night. He added, "I was going back on my records there, and in the last 3 weeks I managed to get one night in Dublin. That was last Tuesday night. I drove home most of the other nights." Now, you wouldn't want to be driving home after a late Shannon sitting, but as I say, I mean, why can't he get a hotel just outside Dublin, or a bed and breakfast for that matter, and a much shorter drive? He could be back in bed in, half an hour, 40 minutes. But anyway, he wants to sleep, or he feels he has no choice but to sleep in his car. The Irish Daily Mail: fears about the spread of monkeypox in Ireland have led to health professionals advising people with suspected symptoms to self-isolate for 3 weeks. Now, all this has to be put in context. The WHO not overly worried about this becoming a big thing. There have been a number of cases across Europe and elsewhere, a couple of hospitalisations, but these do happen from time to time. But the head of the HSE's new monkeypox task force said the heightened alert situation has led to the new direction for those who might have the virus. No monkeypox cases have been confirmed in Ireland, but HSE specialist Dr. Derval Igo revealed people are being observed over a period of 21 days. We'll be just giving you the facts about that a little later on in the programme, because there is a great deal of interest, as you can imagine. And last, but certainly not least, for the hundreds of you potentially across the region who received a phone call from the hospital yesterday or today to say that your elective surgery, and some of it really quite serious surgery, of course, has been cancelled. We heard from Dr. Tony Canavan last week, speaking to us ahead of a one-day strike by lab staff, of the impact operations being cancelled. and no promise of when they'll be rescheduled because such is the backlog. That was a 1-day strike. It's a 2-day strike this week. We'll be speaking to union reps a little later on. A 3-day strike next week. But this affects, obviously, it affects those of you going in for elective operations, surgeries. You'll have been notified by now that that's been cancelled, unfortunately. Your GP testing, your blood tests are going to be delayed or deferred today and tomorrow. The HSE says it means it slows down on discharges. They also claim that patients in hospital who would be regularly blood tested, they may find their health deteriorating and that not being picked up because of a lack of blood tests. There are some derogations, but the general consensus is that this is having a big impact on hospital services. But the medical lab staff, and I'm sure we'll hear from them later, are saying that they've been mistreated in the workplace in terms of fairness and pay for a long time, and it's come down to this. But the HSE don't want to talk, or they do want to talk, but they can't talk because this is all tied into a national pay deal as well, and it's very hard to negotiate with one cohort of workers within that frame. That's what the stumbling block seems to be. But where there is a will, I'm sure there is a way. Medical scientists will strike for 2 more days this week in a move that will cause disruptions to the health service. The workers who process lab tests in hospitals are taking industrial action to try and get better paying conditions. The first walk out last week, which led to some hospital procedures being cancelled and other treatment delays. The scientists will go on strike today and tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with picket lines outside hospitals. And if you drive past Letterkenny University Hospital, I'm sure you'll see them out there this morning. All right, 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp line, that's the text line. What do you think about nuclear power as an option to meet the power needs of Ireland? As you would know, currently at the moment, we're paying through the teeth through electricity. We are looking at ways to generate power renewably, but I don't know, it seems up and down with the way our wind goes, and they're talking about solar and wind energy, and not much seems to be coming from that. So maybe nuclear is the way to go. All right, we're going to be talking to 2 guests, having that debate. We want you involved in it, though. 086 60 25,000. That's coming up for you after we take a commercial break. Stay right where you are.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
We love summer at Dunnes Stores with these great offers from our fishmonger. Save €5 per kilogram on our freshly filleted hake and our wild Atlantic prawns. And pick up our fresh side of salmon 700 gram, now just $14.99. So you can taste the very best of summer for less. Plus, with our 10 off 50 grocery voucher, you save even more, which means every trip to Dunnes Stores means better value. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Harry Jack's Diner, Strabane. American-style diner, ice cream parlor, and takeaway. Opening soon at Market Square, Strabane. For the real diner experience, it will have to be Harry Jack's.
Is your car due a service? For the month of May, get your car serviced at iMotors Letterkenny and avail of a free vehicle health check and a free oil change. For more details, check out our website or Facebook. Call us today on 074 913 4567 to book in.
Terms and conditions apply.
Foy & Company are offering amazing discounts on a great selection of display sofas with up to 50% off a range of 2-seater, 3-seater and corner sofas in a choice of colours and styles. If you're getting a new suite of furniture, don't miss the big display sofa clearance sale on now while stocks last at Foy & Company in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet and online at foys.ie.
Okay, we are joined on the programme now by John Gibbons, environmental journalist. John, good to have you back on the programme. Good morning to you.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
And also joining us is Michael White, chairman of the Green Party. Good morning to you, Michael.
Hi, good morning, Greg.
Great to have you back on the programme. Okay, John, you think it is time for Ireland to look at embracing nuclear power to replace fossil fuels. Why that option rather than pushing ahead with, continued expansion of wind generation, power through wind, wave technology, solar panels? Why do you think we should be having a serious conversation about nuclear power?
Sure. Well, the first thing I'd say is I'm a huge fan and supporter of renewable energy, and we've made great strides in Ireland over the last decade or more in building out a renewable power grid. I'm looking forward to seeing us going offshore in the next decade and really getting serious about it. However, probably the most that any grid to remain stable can handle at a given time of renewable energy, which of course is a variable energy source, is about 80%. At the moment, our grid is managing about 40%. Now, EirGrid, who manage these things, they reckon we can put 80% on the grid in Ireland, which, by the way, would be a fantastic result. However, that still leaves us with roughly a fifth of our energy our electrical energy needing to be provided by fossil sources. So this would be typically gas, or could be worse, could be coal, could be oil. But the problem is that's what's called baseline. So you have to have a baseline basically to keep to underpin the grid. Now, my suggestion or thought is that we're in a climate emergency. I think we can all agree that. Now, in a climate emergency, everybody's objective is to get to zero carbon as quickly as possible. Now, if we continue to allow gas, for example, on the grid for decades to come, we're not going to get to zero carbon. So I'm open-minded. That's the best way I can.
Can I ask a question in relation to that, John? Because as soon as we mention wind generation, people will text in, and we really welcome them texting. They'll say, wind generation is, we're being sold a pop here, that by the time you construct them, maybe put them in bogs, the concrete, and the amount of gas that it's used to actually run them. This is, and I've read a little bit about this, not as enough as I probably should, that they're not really a green energy at all. Now, of course, someone who's, very active in this area, is there any truth to that?
None at all. No. Every energy source has a cost implication, right? As they say, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. So yes, there's concrete, yes, there's other resources used in wind, but wind energy, and solar for that matter, offer what's called an energy return on investment, right? Which is excellent. Ireland has the best sustained wind speeds in Northern Europe, right? Any other country would be leaping forward into wind energy. So the myths that you've described there, that's all they are. It's just nonsense. It's people, for example, who, for whatever reason, don't like the look of wind turbines. I get that. And that's why I think offshore wind is going to help us with this, because we've had a very irrational debate. But the interesting thing is, when you look at the surveys, when you ask the general public, how do you feel about wind on your grid? The answer overwhelmingly is that they support it.
Yeah, but it's not in my backyard. It's a little bit of the problem with it, and I understand that because
I do too. And I also say the folks who feel that way tend to be very vocal, and believe me, I've come across a few of them over the year. But the odd thing is, it's a very small, very vocal group of people. You stop a regular person in the street and you ask them, well, would you like to buy Saudi Arabian or maybe Russian oil to have spewing out of your car in the form of fuel? Or would you rather move to domestically produced clean energy? And most people will say, actually, I'll have the domestically produced clean energy any day.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day too, though, before we get on to the nuclear thing, if the planning process appeared completely clear, if the messaging was completely clear, maybe there would be a better acceptance of this, rather than people feeling that, these developments are railroaded in their areas and there's a lack of communication, a lack of consultation. So I think, people can be justified in how they feel in that regard as well. But in terms of you're looking at nuclear power as being an option now, before I bring Michael in, you weren't always of that view.
No, I would describe myself as a traditional, Irish person, by which I mean, I grew up with the background of Chernobyl and even the background of nuclear war, this idea that there's something really scary about nuclear energy. I would take that as a given. I'll even give you another one. The Simpsons, right, which has been running for over 30 years. The big corrupt power in the town, of course, is the local nuclear power plant. And should the fish have three eyes? It is badly run, it's corrupt, and basically nuclear power is everything we should be afraid of, right? So that is a sort of a cultural meme that has been out there for some time. So as a journalist, particularly a journalist deeply concerned about the climate emergency, I looked into the numbers. And I'd say, for example, over the last 40 years, if I was to ask you how many people would you think have died as a direct result of nuclear accidents? Now, if I put this up as an online poll, I would get results somewhere between 1 million people, say, and 10,000 people. The actual number is 50, as in 50. In total, maybe 40 people died as a result of the Chernobyl nuclear accident. Of those, most of them were, in fact, firefighters who went in, risked their own lives to go in to contain the blast.
Okay.
So this is a point, we've produced huge amounts of the world's electricity over the last 40 years through nuclear. In fact, a study was done that said that the number of deaths, 1.7 million deaths, have been avoided in the last 40 years as a result of the replacement of fossil fuels by nuclear. Now, obviously, if those fossil fuels had been replaced by renewables, you'd get the same effect. So this, for me, this is not an either or.
Okay.
This isn't saying I'm in favor of nuclear, therefore I disagree with renewables. Quite the opposite. I believe this is an and the reason I believe that, finally, is because this is a climate emergency, and in an emergency you do what you have to do.
Right. Michael White, chair of the Green Party, there's a lot in there, a strong argument. What say you?
Firstly, a lot of really respected people do argue for the use and benefit of nuclear power, like James Lovelock, who's a famous English scientist, and others. And I don't have any ideological issue with it, but in terms of practicality, the main arguments against it are costs, and then just politically impractical in my view. And by the way, there isn't a stated Green Party Ireland's policy on this, so this is a personal view.
Is that not quite remarkable that your party doesn't actually have a policy on nuclear energy?
We have policies on everything, Greg. It's not remarkable.
Except nuclear energy, of course.
But no, the reason there isn't a policy is it's been a topic for discussion, but it's not really. It hasn't been that divisive in Ireland.
Right.
And actually, when we look at what's happening in the UK, I guess that's where we would certainly would I take my guide. So if we just look at the cost issue, there's three main costs. There's the cost of building the plants, the cost of decommissioning them, and the cost of handling the waste disposal. So if you look at England, Boris Johnson's kicked off that Hinkley C project. It was initially estimated to cost 18 billion sterling, but it's now been revised up to 26 billion sterling, and it's running a bit late. They are also decommissioning 7 old plants, and the cost of decommissioning those old plants is going to come in, again, 23 billion, but that's expected to go up.
But does that not, and I'm sorry I don't want you to think I'm cutting across you when I didn't, John, but, just taking those costs, without factoring in, the impact on the environment, the benefits, we can't take those costs, decommissioning costs, for example, in isolation. Really, it wouldn't give us a true picture. We'd have to put it in to the wider conversation for those costings to be really having, to be meaningful, Michael.
For me, sorry. Well, there are no equivalent costs for things like renewables. I mean, one of the biggest costs I haven't mentioned is the cost of disposal. So the UK are planning, they estimate a cost of 53 billion to build an underground waste facility at the moment. A lot of that waste, and this is where it gets a bit emotive. I know John's saying that there's no provable massive amounts of casualties due to nuclear power, and that's, in my view, is correct as well. But you have facilities like Sellafield, which is a big maze of nuclear waste going back to the 1950s, and it's hard to predict the relative risk of having that stuff dumped there. Whereas if we focus all our time and attention on offshore wind, we're not going to have an issue. We don't have to decommission or get rid of waste from a wind farm.
Yeah, just on that point, John, burying in the earth, burying this toxic waste, which we don't really know, what the future holds. I mean, that doesn't really feel very environmental to me, and I'm not, particularly swayed one way or other, but that doesn't. It almost as if it's like covering our eyes and thinking no one can see us.
Yeah, I think as I try to be pragmatic about this. So let's take, for example, the lifetime electrical power requirements of a family in France. Okay, now, and let's say that at the moment, they're getting about 70% of their electricity from nuclear power, which they have, by the way, for the last 45 years. And you've never heard of the 56 French nuclear power plants because they go about the business very quietly and unfussily, and they don't blow up. So if you had to contain and deal with the waste product of that family's lifetime use of nuclear power, the nuclear waste would be about 2 kilograms, so about the size of a Coke can. Okay, now, it is toxic waste. You're absolutely right. Now, in Ireland, the average person is responsible for, as in we're accounting for the equivalent of 12 tons of carbon waste dumped carelessly into the atmosphere every year. Now that carbon waste will continue to heat up our atmosphere for centuries.
Yeah, but I mean, I know you gave that family example, but the reality is, I think the data centers here would leave us, probably disproportionately producing more waste.
Slightly more, but it's a question of, when you burn fossil energy, and by the way, we're all agreeing here that renewables are an excellent option. My argument is a variant of that, which says we know that renewables can't get us to 100. So we know they can get us to 80 if we do everything right. How do we fill the gap between 80 and 100?
Well, Michael, I'll put that question to you. It's a simple one. I presume as a Green Party, you don't want to get 80% towards the line. How do you get over that last 20%, over the line with that last 20%?
Yeah, there's just a couple of, I'll answer that question in saying there's two other points I'd make, though, that politically, I don't think it would be possible. There's nowhere in Ireland it would be politically possible to build a nuclear generation plant at the moment. You've seen the difficulty we have in trying to get a smokeless coal ban through. So, but on your point, how do we get to the remaining 20%? So there's offshore wind energy is going to be a significant part of getting us there. The remainder, now, one of the options is to import some of that power, and the other options would include trying to use further offshore wind energy then to as part of a hydrogen-based storage, where we could use hydrogen at times when the wind isn't blowing. So that would be one possibility. I mean, I think we're going to have to import energy in any case, as we do at the moment, and some of that energy is likely. We've just had the interconnector agreed with France, and so we'll be effectively using nuclear energy from France. But even on that, it's for forecast. JP Morgan produced a report on the cost of nuclear energy, and they expect that even France will reduce its nuclear energy as a percentage of the total. So JP Morgan did this big report, and they're just saying that the cost of nuclear energy are beginning to make it less likely.
Yeah, but they can meet their demands in the other direction. I mean, they've got very good coverage with nuclear, presumably, and they can reduce that as the green goes up.
Well, interestingly,
go ahead.
Yeah, because of their investment in nuclear, the French don't really have much renewable, and it's something they're beginning to look at now to maybe switch over to renewable, because they did a big audit of their costs in 2012, and a new one then a few years later, and they found that they'd underestimated the total costs when they brought in things like the cost of capital and the cost of construction. It turned out they've seriously underestimated how the lifetime cost of their nuclear.
And I'll bring John back on that, but Michael, it just seems like interesting to me in that, the arguments that you're making for us not doing as much as we can to protect the environment are A, the costs, and B, public opinion. I thought we were in such a situation that the world's on fire. The ice is melting, and I find it interesting that you, from a Green Party perspective, your actual arguments are A, what people might think, and B, the costs. It just, if that's it.
Well, no, I mean, what we as a party are doing is concentrating on where we're most likely to be able to deliver the things that are going to save the country. So we got the Marine Area Planning Bill through. There's a huge focus on getting the rest of the legislative framework in place this year. The money that's required to get in to build these offshore plants. We're doing all the practical things. If we look at nuclear, so we can get offshore wind energy in place rapidly enough to have a big impact on the national emissions. If we started to look at nuclear, they say it takes 10 years to commission a nuclear
plant. Do you think
plant.
It'd be a distraction at this time then?
It's not just that it's a distraction. It won't be there in time to make a difference, and it'll cause loads of grief. I mean, we've seen we can't even get a national maternity hospital built. That's dragged on.
I just using our failures and the fact that we're crap at doing stuff as a reason for not exploring. Yeah, okay. I get you. This is not even on this issue. It's just that if this is why we don't do stuff, because we can't do stuff.
I just want to be clarifying. I'm not saying we don't. I mean, the Green Party suggests lots of things that are unpopular, as you know, and we do it because we think that the best for the future of the climate and for the country. But there are certain things, if you've got a choice of three things, you're not, nuclear wouldn't be my first choice of the battle we would have. There are other areas where we can create greater impact and generate greater success than if we started to advocate for a new nuclear energy plant in Ireland, for example.
Some strong points there, John Gibbons, though, in terms of the time frame, and the fact that we're focused in other areas. Just pick out from that which you wish to respond to.
Sure. I'll start with the time frames. our offshore wind sector, I was actually listening to a program about this last night, and with all the planning issues with the offshore marine legislation and with various objections, we'll be very lucky. We're also looking at a 10-year time frame. Now, interestingly as well, China, you know the way we always, whenever we want to do something in Ireland, we complain about China, right? China is currently commissioning 150, I repeat, 150 nuclear power plants. And they're planning to get these from the plans to producing power in under 10 years. That's as quick as we can do it in terms of deploying renewables. Now, one of the reasons, by the way, just so people understand, why has nuclear become so expensive in the Western world? First of all, we have lost expertise. 40 years ago, we were producing lots of nuclear power plants. Then the political wind shifted, and the number of nuclear engineers who retired and weren't replaced because people basically left the industry. But guess where they went? Most of them didn't go off to build wind turbines. Most of them went off to work in the fossil fuel industry, right? Now, we need a new generation of engineers, of technologists working on renewable energy and, in my book, on nuclear energy. And so when you see China deploying 150 new nuclear power plants. By the way, total cost on that, they estimate $450 billion. Now, it sounds like a lot of money, but that's coming in at about $3 billion per facility. So the point is, they do what the Chinese do. They build it at scale, they get the expertise up, and they're able to deploy it quickly because they focus on it. The problem in Europe has been we're not building enough of them. We've lost the expertise. And of course, you have people objecting. And the very thing that Michael said about public opinion, and I will say public opinion doesn't happen by itself. It's also stoked by people maybe floating kites or flying kites in relation to the alleged dangers. Now, I guess I have looked at these, as I say, I'm far more animated, not so much by the possible dangers of nuclear, but by the absolute dangers of continuing to run our fossil fuel plants. As they say, you know, in order to be extremely dangerous, a fossil fuel plant only has to operate correctly. It is not a fault that a fossil fuel plant emits dangerous pollution and climate-altering emissions. Now, I'm of the view that we need to be very careful, for example, about saying, well, we can't do this because people don't like it. We can't do this because it's too expensive. Now, the reason often things become expensive is because people don't like them. So in Ireland, for example, if you, all the way back to 1968, the government at that time proposed a nuclear power plant for Ireland. It was due to happen in Carnsore Point in the late 70s, and of course the anti-nuclear movement, from which, by the way, the genesis of the Irish Green Party, it was a kind of a foundation moment for the organisation, was in people objecting to nuclear. So I understand that the Green Party in Ireland was almost the anti-nuclear party. It's in the DNA. And by the way, I've spoken to many people in the Green Party, and we've had a good laugh about this, that it is that foundation kind of myth almost of the organisation. So if you turn around as a Green Party person and say, well, actually, I've had a rethink 40 years later because the climate emergency, you know, it doesn't go down well. And I know that, and I understand that. However, there are other Green parties in Norway and Finland. They've actually changed their position on this, particularly around what are called SMRs. These are small nuclear reactors. Now, these basically allow us to deploy a kind of modular nuclear in smaller scale, down to hundreds of megawatts rather than gigawatts. Now, you might say, well, that sounds like dangerous new technology. Has it been tried? We've had nuclear-powered icebreakers, submarines, and aircraft carriers for 50, 60, 70 years. Now, these are basically floating nuclear power plants operating in battle conditions, and not one of them has ever exploded.
All right, Michael, has your view softened to these proposals at all?
Oh, I mean, there's a couple of points I'd make. One of the reasons China is able to bang out so many nuclear power stations is that there's very little strength in civil society, that people can't object. The central government can do as they please, and I'm glad that's not possible in Europe. Secondly, while local people often object for good reasons. So my mother would have been involved in objections to an incineration plant in Derry back in the 1980s, and they were for justifiable reasons. So I think it's good that we have a strong civil society here that will tell politicians to clear off if they're trying to build something they don't like. I think that's a really healthy thing.
Does the planet have the time, though? I mean, we say like.
Well, I think if we go hammer and tongs at the renewables, like we're sitting in the middle of the Atlantic, we've got wind blowing here all the bloody time. We should be able to make a shot of it. If we can't get wind energy working here, you can't get it working anywhere. So I think that would be sufficient. And I think, in my view, the nuclear would be an expensive distraction. It would cause public opposition and wouldn't benefit us as quickly as doubling down on wind energy.
All right, okay. Listen, both of you, thank you very much. It's been an interesting conversation. I really appreciate your time. John Gibbons, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Take care of yourself. And also, last but not least, Michael White, Chair of the Green Party. Good morning to you.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks,
okay, your views to 08660 25,000. You heard both sides of the argument there. I mean, Michael White is sympathetic to the notion, but the practicalities of it, the cost. Where would you locate this plant? Where could you possibly, without having to railroad it through? Lots of comments coming in on this. I'll get those to you now after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
This is the new Toyota Yaris Cross, a new kind of SUV, a new point of view, new compact style, new spacious feel, and exclusively self-charging hybrid. The right choice for today. Get a new perspective with the Yaris Cross self-charging hybrid. Available now at Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, or Drumby, Mount Charles. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Get cash for trash at Curry's. Bring your old, broken, unwanted tech into your local Curry store this month. We'll recycle it for free and give you €5 off your next purchase. Plus, with mega deals now on, we've got massive savings across the store. So get into your local Curry store today. T's and C's apply. See website for details.
Right, so medical scientists continue to picket on the picket line, to resolve unfilled posts, pay parity, career pathways and increasing demands. Medical scientists are stepping up their industrial action this week in frustration over long-standing pay and career development issues. Now, obviously, the HSE says it's continuing to engage with all parties to avert further industrial action planned for the coming weeks. 2 days this week, 3 next. We heard operations are being cancelled, discharges are being delayed, and patient care is being affected because testing can't be done in the hospital. These are all the arguments being made by the head of the HSE in the Cialta area. Kathleen King's a medical scientist and member of the MLSA and is on the picket line at the moment and joins us from it. Good morning to you, Kathleen.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. Right. I mean, when you hear the likes of Mr. Canavan speaking on the media, do you believe this is a bit of a public relations exercise on behalf of the HSE, or do you accept that I suppose they have to come out and let people know what impact this type of action might have on patients?
Oh, no, absolutely. Mr. Canavan is right to explain the impact to patients and to explain the impact, that withdrawing our services actually has within the hospital and within the community itself. I think, we're sort of quite a hidden, members of the healthcare profession, and maybe people don't understand that 70% of all clinical diagnosis is based on our work. So it's very, very good that he did explain the impact to patients, the impact to services. But it is regrettable. Not one of us want to be standing out here this morning. Not one of us wanted to be standing out there last week. We don't want to be standing here tomorrow. The HSE and the Department of Health have not engaged in meaningful talks with our union, the MLSA, and this is regrettable. This is what we really, really need to happen. We care for patients as much as any other healthcare profession. There are 2,500 of us, 2,100 in the union, and we are the ones who are sort of working night, noon and morning to get accurate test results out. I myself finished at 8 o'clock this morning, but yet I'm here in the picket to support my colleagues as well. So, if we don't have impact, we'll not get anywhere.
No, and I get that, Kathleen. Unfortunately, though, the HSE seem to be digging their feet in saying that we want to talk, but really their hands are tied because they can't undo the national pay agreement that's about to be negotiated, and there's just no room within those confines to have this discussion. So how do we come up with a solution when obviously, medical scientists are have had enough, but the HSE are they have that standpoint?
Yeah, well, funny enough, Greg, 21 years ago, the HSE actually agreed to this pay parity. They agreed to pay us the same pay as our clinical biochemist colleagues because we do the same work. But unfortunately, that agreement was never honoured. And we've kept our heads down for 20 years. We've kept working. We've kept going ahead. We've kept bringing in improvements. We kept expanding the service. Like Letterkenny Hospital, we're doing 20% more work this year than we were last year. It's extremely busy. We've kept our heads down. We worked through COVID. We worked through the cyber attack. It's not too much to ask for the HSE and Department of Health to engage in meaningful talks to honour what was approved 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody wants a strike.
All right. In terms of what derogation, what work is going on at Letterkenny as part of the agreement?
So in Letterkenny, we have medical scientists in, and we're rostered in and out all day today to provide emergency cover. Certain patients have been given derogation, and that was been at the discretion and discussion of our union and also with the hospital management team as well too. I believe both sides were happy with the list of derogations, and again, we provide as much cover as we possibly can while still maintaining the terms and agreements of our industrial action. I
want to bring Des Sweeney in here, who's Donegal representative on the Medical Laboratory Scientists Association. Des, good morning to you. Can you, for those of us, because I think, what's happened certainly over the last couple of weeks, people, the general public, have learned the important role that you guys do, and it was interesting that it's took to now for maybe the HSE to actually recognise the important, it's almost like the beating heart of the health service. But Des, can you give us sort of a typical scenario that explains why we found ourselves in this situation? A person in a working environment compared to maybe people that theoretically work under them. Can you sort of explain to us a real case scenario?
Absolutely. Good morning, Greg. It is as simple as that. Kathleen's done a very good job of explaining it there, but it's as simple as that. It's the way I describe it is there's two people digging a ditch for the last 20 years, and one person is getting paid 8% more than the other, and they're working shoulder to shoulder. It's as simple as that.
Now, what terms was the person employed under that leaves them so much better off? Like, how has this situation presented itself?
It's sort of a historical thing. The clinical biochemists 30, 40, 50 years ago were responsible for creating tests and running tests it's a really historical thing, but that's all automated now. So now the clinical chemists and the medical scientists work together doing exactly the same job. So it's just it really is an historical thing, anomaly. But it was decided by the HSE and agreed by everybody, including the Minister for Health, who's now Taoiseach, that they're doing the same job. They should get the same pay. It really is that simple.
I hope we're not in the situation, Des, but it kind of feels like it, that the public will accept anything. Obviously through COVID, everyone had to accept. There may have been a better way of working, but we had to accept that if you were waiting for a procedure, it was to be delayed, and all of that, right? The HSE seemed to be able to just say to the public on the local and national airwaves that because of this action, this is going to happen, and nothing. No one kicks up a stink. Nothing really comes from it. Are you concerned really that the HSE can do that now, Des? That in other words, this type of action, it should bring people kicking and screaming to the table, but they can just say, you're used to this. There's more delays. There's, and there you go.
Yeah, Greg, I think that's exactly the situation. COVID has numbed the public into an acceptance of a situation where the HSE can pretty much get away with anything. The cancelling appointments now is just routine, and it's a disgrace, really. But the HSE is the state that they're in right now. But hopefully we carry on this action, and hopefully people start realising that it's just not acceptable anymore.
Yeah, because I was looking through every paper that's available to me this morning, and it's buried inside a couple of them. But I mean, where you have a situation that tens of thousands of procedures not going ahead, delays at emergency departments, potential worse outcomes for people in hospital in terms of diagnostics and tracking their well-being, discharges. I mean, you would imagine this would just be a big, massive black headline in the front of every newspaper, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, as you remember when the nurses went out on strike, it was banner headlines all over every station, all over all the papers. But we with a team of, there's 2,100 of us as opposed to tens of thousands of nurses. We create the same situation. We're effectively shutting down the hospitals apart from critical care. I want to emphasise that fact. Life or limb will not be risked at this action. We are providing critical care for all patients. But yeah, somehow the media or government have somehow stifled or smothered the information getting out.
Yeah, I mean, Kathleen, I'd expect our phone lines to be lit up. We covered this last week, covering it this week by people, saying something has to be done. But I think I agree with Des here. I just think people have been numbed to delays and problems with the health service. If this doesn't get the point across, Kathleen, if 3 days next week doesn't get the point across, what is next from the MLSA's perspective?
I think the MLSA are going to have to pull their members together and also, sort of see what we can do after this. Like an all-out walkout, is that what's on the cards? We won't know until we sit down and discuss that. But as you know, and as Des has explained, as medical scientists, we can't just all walk out. We do have to provide that emergency cover. And we're asking for the goodwill of our colleagues, in the hospital here and also within the community to abide by the strike regulations and not to front load or back load work. But again, we'll have to take our lead from the MLSA on further progress on that.
And Des, I'm not suggesting that anyone currently is engaged in a PR war, but there are going to be failings that are currently there in the health service that have got nothing to do with medical laboratory scientists, and you just can't help but feel, Des, that this kind of action might be used as a smokescreen to cover other failings in the health service.
Well, absolutely, Greg. I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but there's not much we can do about that. We just have to do what we're doing. And like I say, this was agreed 20 years ago. This isn't something that we're putting our hands out and asking for more. We're just asking for what they've already accepted was completely reasonable. They just never actioned it.
Do you believe the health minister has been vocal enough on this? Because we saw a similar issue, and I'm not comparing them directly, but say for instance, school secretaries, there was strange pay differences there for little or no reason, and education minister took control of that situation, right, and says, look, we have to do something. Do you believe the health minister is doing enough, or should he say, right, I'm in charge of all of this. This is seriously impacting the well-being of people potentially. We need to crack our heads together.
I believe there's a consensus among government just to keep quiet and hope they can ride it out. Same as the people going down to Dublin arguing about Micah. It's just hope it'll blow over. But for example, there's been no engagement, despite what everybody says. There's been no engagement from the government with the MLSA since our last strike on Tuesday of last week. They didn't discuss anything with us. There's been no discussions. So
yeah, I mean, that's worrying, Kathleen, in that, there should be some discussions at any level of all to see, is there any common ground or anything that could even defer this action? To not engage at all, but say, we're open for discussions, but our hands are tied. I mean, it's very worrying, Kathleen, isn't it, that's the approach being taken?
Oh, absolutely, Greg. And, certainly it sort of calls into question again to, do the Department of Health and the HSE assume that because we are healthcare professionals, that we're just going to suck this up for another few years? Healthcare professionals are often described as picking a vocation. This isn't a vocation. This is a job. We're employed. We're paid. Okay? The problem is here that we're not paid the same as our colleagues. This is our dispute. We can't be expected to suck this up. And without talks, without any sort of discussion, this, I can't see this going any sort of further.
All right. Listen, Kathleen King, medical scientist, a member of the MLSA. Thanks for speaking to us from the picket line. I appreciate your time this morning. I really do. And I hope for everyone's sake there is a resolution. And the same thanks to you, Des Sweeney, Donegal rep with the MLSA. Thank you very much as well for helping us understand what's going on.
No problem.
All right, take care of yourselves. Thank you very much indeed.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire, exclusive stockist of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade and service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 9126276.
I've great news for everyone who's looking for a good night's sleep. Restex Beds are looking forward to welcoming you to their brand new showroom at Mountaintop, Letterkenny. It's one of the biggest and best bed and mattress showrooms in the Northwest and has fantastic opening offers now in store. Restex is the most trusted name in beds and mattresses in the Northwest. Why don't you call in and get the bed of your dreams at Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
A huge sale is now on at McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny. It's a chance to save hundreds of euros on floor model suites, beds and mattresses, dining and occasional furniture with reductions in all departments. It's a great opportunity to grab a real bargain in the big sale at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny.
For big name menswear at great prices, visit Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Top casual brands including Mishmash, Sixth Sense, Tommy Bow and Penguin. If you're going to a wedding or a big event, formal wear names include Rimassimo, Andre and White Label. Also a great selection of children's casual and formal wear in stock. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and online at watsonmenswear.com.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fancy a city break this summer? You can now fly twice weekly to beautiful Cologne in Germany every Sunday and Thursday with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
All right, sunny spells and scattered showers, a few heavy. The evening cloud will increase with rain and drizzle moving in from the west early tonight. Temperatures 13 and 14 degrees. Kerry joins us now, medical scientist, a member of the MLSA. Out on the picket line. Last place, though, I imagine, Kerry, that you'd want to be. You want to be in doing the valuable work that you're normally doing.
Good morning, Greg. Yes, that is exactly the scenario here this morning. Me and my colleagues that are on the picket line here at the minute, we would so much rather be in doing the patient-centred, quality-driven care that we're used to.
Are you surprised that there's been no movement, no middle ground found? A landing zone is the popular phrase at the moment between your union, its members, and the HSE on this issue.
I don't know if I'm surprised. I suppose from the nature of all controversies out there, it does take a while to get things resolved, but we are willing to engage in this process, but the HSE Department of Health don't seem to be ready to meet us, which is very disappointing, more than surprising.
Yeah, there seems to be an acceptance, listening to the likes of Tony Canavan, that this is going to cause huge upheaval this week, even more so next week. But we're not looking at solutions here. Is there too much of an acceptance, do you think, from the HSE that they're going to have to ride this out?
Yes, I do think so. I think what we're trying to achieve with this action is to make them see the important role that we play within the hospital. You know, the whole hospital is a team in its entirety, and we play a vital role in that. While I'm standing out here, I have cancer that is going undiagnosed in our lab. You know, that's kind of the bottom line of where we're at the minute.
All right, listen, Kerry, thanks for your time this morning. We'll go to Charlie Barr, another medical scientist, a member of the MLSA. Charlie, I mean, this is obviously the last resort, but if it's not working, what next?
Well, Greg, we just have to keep chipping away at it. I would think we are a very professional organisation, very professional body, and I would assume the HSE are equally professional. And I'm hoping, for the sake of patients and for the future, not only of our profession, but the future of medical care in Ireland, and ultimately the progression of patient care, that both sides can come to an arrangement in this. As Kathleen said to you earlier, this pay parity was agreed 21 years ago. It was never honoured and was never implemented. And it's taken us 21 years of frustration to come to this last resort.
And you pointed out, actually, using an interesting word, one which I didn't mention with our previous guest, that's retention. Staff retention, that the best people doing this work. They're going to look at
not even retention, recruitment is the main
recruitment
issue.
And retention.
I've been over 30 years in the profession, so I'm at the latter end of it. But the students and the future medical scientists coming into us now are very bright, very motivated individuals. I want to make sure that the profession that I leave for them is one that they can thrive in. And ultimately, if they can thrive in that and develop it and move it forward, then patients will benefit, hospitals will benefit, and the HSE will benefit as well. And we can't retain staff, we can't recruit unless the pay scales are adequate, unless kids with good qualifications see it as a worthwhile profession that they can stay in.
All right. Okay. Charlie, listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. Charlie Barr there and Kerry both speaking to us from the picket line there as that action continues today. It'll run until tomorrow. Unfortunately, many of you out there today who were due to have a procedure done may well have received a phone call. By the way, go ahead. Don't take any action unless you've been notified by the hospital, by the way. But you might be going to your GP and they may be telling you that blood tests might be delayed or can't be done. And that's going to run into next week, and who's know what might happen thereafter. All right, that's the first hour of the programme in the bag. We'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after the news and obituary notices.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. A senior medical scientist at Letterkenny University Hospital says no medical scientist wants to be on the picket line today. Up to 30,000 hospital procedures will be cancelled due to 2,100 medical scientists striking over the next 2 days. They're refusing to carry out routine lab services from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. today and tomorrow. Kathleen King is a senior medical scientist at Letterkenny University Hospital and a spokesperson for MLSA Union. Speaking to Highland Radio News on the picket line this morning, she says a number of issues have led to the dispute.
Here we are, straw that broke the camel's back, COVID, the cyber attack, the increase in workload. Our own hospital, we have a 20% increase in workload in some of our departments. But again, too, we're looking at the very basics here. We can't fill 20% of the advertised and approved posts. And we also don't have pay parity, and that's one of the things that has led to the difficulties in filling these posts as well.
A public consultation event held in Buncrana last night has been hailed a success. Hundreds of people were in attendance to view plans for a new leisure centre for the town and the major €20 million repowering Buncrana initiative that will see the town's shorefront developed. Plans are also in place to purchase the old Garda station to pave the way for office space. Cahirlog of Donegal County Council, Councillor Jack Murray, says the potential for Buncrana is vast.
I'm advised by the Council's Economic Development Unit that some 50% of queries that are now coming into Donegal County Council with regards to the foreign direct investment or job creation or people looking to invest in commercial facilities are for the town of Buncrana. So that just shows the potential that the town has. Part of the public meeting last night was with the local area plan, and we began looking to identify more areas for economic development because I think there's huge potential for job creation as well.
Protests are taking place in Derry, Belfast and London today against the British government's Troubles amnesty. It will coincide with a debate on the Legacy Bill in the House of Commons. The UK is proposing an amnesty for those who cooperate with a panel that investigates Troubles deaths. John Taggart's father Danny was killed in the Ballymurphy massacre in 1971. He says for families it's traumatising.
Anybody that I've been talking to are devastated, absolutely devastated, and they're re-traumatised. The feedback that I'm getting from the victim's family is as if their loved one's life wasn't worth anything. It's a crime. If you've thrown litter in the street, you'd have to answer to the legal requirements. And somebody who murders your loved one would be getting an amnesty, and an amnesty without any comeback or compellability.
A seminar on Donegal's caravan, camping and campervan sector is taking place today. The findings and recommendations of a study into the sector in the county and how they're being implemented will be presented at the event at the Silver Tassie Hotel at 11 o'clock. Donegal County Council is currently administering a grant scheme in a bid to increase overnight facilities. A code of conduct is also being progressed and a communications campaign being developed to urge campers to plan and book ahead. An international conference discussing the impact of the rare disease amyloidosis, often referred to as Donegal Amy, will be taking place in Gweedore later this week. The conference, called Emerging from the Shadows, will host a number of international experts on the disease, sharing their experiences and knowledge. Daniel Brennan has more.
The Emerging from the Shadows conference will host several experts on the serious rare disease, where a number of topics regarding its treatment will be discussed. The disease currently has no known cure, but there are a number of treatment methods available to lessen its impact. Among the topics to be discussed at the conference will be the need for early diagnosis and speedy access to ATTR-specific treatments, the prevalence of the version of amyloidosis most commonly present in Donegal, as well as discussing new treatments and clinical trials now available to treat the disease. The conference takes place in the Anchurch Hotel in Gweedore this Saturday, May 28th, from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Weather now today will bring sunny spells and scattered showers, a few of them heavy. This evening, cloud will increase with rain and drizzle moving in and highest temperatures of 13 or 14 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notice is for this Tuesday morning, May the 24th. The death has occurred of Hugh Brogan, 10 Drumbo Lower Stranorlar, remains reposing at his home this evening from 6 o'clock. Funeral leaving his home on Thursday morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate Stranorlar at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in Drumbo Cemetery. Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. The house is private to family and friends only, please. The death has taken place of William Billy Patterson de Mons Convoy. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 11:30 for funeral mass at 12 noon in St Mary's Church Convoy, followed by burial in the family plot in the old cemetery. Family time until 12 noon today and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Terence McClintock, funeral director. The death has occurred of Sarah Terry, Meanderry, Falcara. Her remains are reposing at her daughter Brenda's home in Meanderry. Funeral from there this afternoon for 2 o'clock Requiem Mass in Chap Pobble, Christiary, Gorta Hork, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, before the funeral today. The funeral mass can be viewed live on mcmmedia.tv or Sweeney Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Arthur Maguire, Upper Fanaboy, Gorta Hork, and originally from Belfast. His remains are reposing at his late residence, with wake private to family, neighbours and close friends only, please. Funeral Mass in Christ the King Church, Gorta Hork, this morning at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the adjacent cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director Facebook page and on the parish webcam. House private before the funeral today. And the death has taken place of Mary Freel, Nay Mills and Lonya Moore Gweedore. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral Mass will take place this morning at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Derrybeg, followed by burial in Maharagallen Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on the Gillespie Funeral Director's Facebook page and on the Chap Pobblewara webcam. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. And if you're just joining us, a very good morning. Where were you? You missed an interesting debate on the nuclear energy. Perhaps maybe that could be a solution for us. You missed that, an interesting conversation. And also, we were on the picket line with members of the MLSA as they continue their industrial action. But you're welcome for this next hour. Coming up very shortly, we'll be discussing or getting the latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána. On a Tuesday, a member of the force joins us where they will discuss what's happening in terms of crime and how the public might be able to help, and then they disseminate some information which may be useful for you in terms of your safety or protecting you from crime. That's every single Tuesday. By the time, I want to get to be ahead of the bingo numbers. I want to get to some of your comments on nuclear. By the time we would build a nuclear plant, the technology will have moved onto nuclear fusion and it will be immediately outdated. And besides that, the disaster we are building things, the way we are building things, the Children's Hospital was supposed to cost $500 million initially. It would be the biggest sinkhole for taxpayers' money. Another, we have no marine protection areas. Offshore turbines will kill marine animals and affect fishing, but the Greens don't care. Greg, small modular reactors, SMRs, and nuclear fission reactors that are smaller than conventional nuclear reactors and typically have an electrical power output of less than 300 megawatts, a thermal power output of less than 1,000 megawatts, which is a fraction of the cost of our traditional nuclear power plant. I think John referenced those that you talk of. I have no problems with nuclear power, says this listener, but the Irish building and operating a nuclear plant, come on, the whole of Europe will be running for the bunkers. Seriously, we're terrible at putting ourselves down, aren't we? I think we shouldn't forget that we, the Irish, both here but particularly abroad, are responsible for some of the most amazing construction. We've built cities, we've built rail lines, we've built underground infrastructure, and so much more besides. You know, we lead the way, I think, in terms of our ability to get things done. So I don't know. We've enough people running us down and making jokes about us without it doing to ourselves, I think. But listen, I appreciate your view. What about hydropower? We used to have 2 plants. Can I ask your views on it? I presume you mean our listeners, our guests, but unfortunately, I got that a little bit late. Nuclear is not clean. What's the half-life of nuclear waste, asks a caller. Another, under no circumstances should we have nuclear power. If someone plants a bomb and blew the nuclear power, it's too much of a threat to the Irish people. No to nuclear power. I think in terms of the containment, and we've seen that in Ukraine, but the containment of the negative elements of a nuclear disaster, a lot has been learned by Chernobyl. This caller references Chernobyl, though. What about all the babies born with defects due to the Chernobyl disaster? Don't forget the cancer and other health problems. Then many had to leave their homes forever. We don't want nuclear. We, the people, deserve better. But is our proximity to the likes of some of Britain's nuclear plants, does that... I mean, would we not feel the effects of a nuclear disaster because one could happen on the island next to us? I don't know. People in Irish cities don't have to look at turbines. How is gas-backed turbines clean energy? Such nonsense. Is John getting paid to spout this? Well, he's a hardline activist and journalist, and he's of the view that that's a myth. Tell Michael White to enjoy his fame because he'll be history after the next election. Unfortunately, Michael White's not elected. He did stand for election but wasn't elected. He is a chairperson of the Green Party and not subject at this point to deselection. Greg, so are we going to stop importing power from the UK as they produce 30% of their power from nuclear plants, and the plans for interconnection from France who produce 80% of their power from nuclear fuel? So it's okay for countries to build nuclear plants and produce power and for us to buy it. In other words, it's someone else's problem. Yep, that's pretty much where we're at. Yep, we don't mind doing that. Nuclear power, definitely the way to go, believes a texter. Another, nuclear waste is a disaster and no one knows how to get rid of it. Our main problem right now is letting massive data centres devour our power and water supplies. Wave technology for the Atlantic and bladeless technologies are the future for us. Another, we're already using nuclear power from Scotland via the interconnector, and onboard planologist granted permission for an interconnector to France so we can buy nuclear power from France. It's hypocrisy not to discuss it, but the government seems intent on destroying every hill and bog in Ireland first. There's no such thing as renewable electricity, they say. Now, on our social media, some comments there. Yes, nuclear energy should be considered. Another, we can't get to zero carbon. These people are delusional. The ice is melting because it's been melting since the Ice Age ended. We shouldn't have ice caps, and that's a fact. Okay. But, you know, I just think we're slightly... I respect your view there, but when we see what's happening now at the moment in countries around the world already, it's very hard to deny. I mean, are we denying that the changing climate is having such a negative impact on certain parts of the world and inevitably us as well? And it's very... I don't think that can be really argued strongly, that what's happening now is the climate is changing, and it is changing to a point whereby... swathes of Australia are going to be unlivable, according to scientists, and the new leader in Australia seems to accept that. We're seeing what's happening in Spain, for example. Okay, that might be a quirk, but in other parts of the world, India, elsewhere, people literally struggling to live because of the weather and the changes to the weather. And then we can't, surely, if we accept that, not accept that, particularly since the industrialisation, that we are not contributing to it, and what is our role to try and limit that damage we're doing. I think, are we not already at that point now that we accept that? 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts, or call 07491 25,000. Good luck if you're playing the bingo today.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 24th of May. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S2. It's game number 21. The numbers are 52, 78, 41, 3, 38, 18, 54, 77, 49, and finally 43. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
This time of year, we're all thinking about freshening up the paintwork in our homes, bringing colour and vibrancy to our living spaces. But the important thing isn't just the colours we choose, it's the paint. Fleetwood use the highest quality ingredients for a richer colour and smoother finish that lets you wipe away the marks of everyday life. And it's Irish made, designed to work with the ever-changing Irish light. Would one range of paints transform your home? Fleetwood would, naturally.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who has the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 07495 32575.
In the heart of Letterkenny, Warehouse Bar and Kitchen is an ideal venue for all your parties and celebrations. At Warehouse, you'll find delicious food and cocktails served every day, and live music 7 nights a week. Mouth-watering lunch and dinner options, along with the new look cocktail bar, are waiting for you. Our late night venue is your weekend destination. Follow Warehouse Bar and Kitchen on social media for specials and updates.
At Irish Life, we've been helping people make smart investments with their nest egg for over 80 years. For actual trusted advice, search irishlife.ie or contact your financial broker or advisor. We know Irish Life. We are Irish Life. Irish Life Financial Services is tied to Irish Life Assurance for life and pension products. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Irish Life Financial Services Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts. Call 074 91 25,000. A caller says, well, I've dropped all of those on the floor, so I'll go to these ones. Got a phone call from scammers pretending to be from Permanent TSB from Letterkenny saying my card was frozen. Can you let people know, please, as it was one of the more convincing ones I've gotten. Another, I sent away 7 new applications, this is for passports, on April the 11th. For 5 children and 2 adults. Each had to be posted individually with original birth certs enclosed. I got an email yesterday, May 23rd, from the Passport Office requesting my original birth cert for the children's passports. It's with mine. Okay, very frustrating indeed. Radio, it is Tuesday morning. It's 18 minutes past 10. We're joined in studio now by Garda Maguire as part of the Garda Community Information Item. A very good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us, Niall. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. Keeping very well, thank you.
It's good to have you with us. I'll just move that slightly towards you. Okay. Right, okay, we'll get straight into the appeals if that's okay, Niall. And you're looking for the public's assistance in relation to a Derrybeg RTC.
Yeah, this was a collision that occurred in Derrybeg between a silver Ford Focus and a black Volkswagen Golf. This happened on Tuesday the 17th of May, shortly after 10 p.m. Unfortunately, 4 males and 3 females were taken to Letterkenny Hospital for medical assessment. None life-threatening injuries, thank goodness, but 2 of the occupants remain in hospital, so it was quite a serious collision. The guards in Bunbeg are asking me to appeal for witnesses for people that may have seen this in the Glacia area. So on Tuesday the 17th of May after 10 p.m, please make contact with the guards in Milford, who will then pass on any details to the investigating guards. And the Milford guards can be reached on 074 9153 060.
Okay, and also an appeal as it relates to a burglary in Convoy.
Yeah, a burglary in Convoy between Saturday the 21st of May at 8 p.m. and Sunday the 22nd of May at 8 a.m. So during the night of Saturday past, the lock on the roller door of a garage was damaged and entry was gained to it. A Draper impact gun and a DeWalt spray gun were stolen from the garage. And anybody that may have been maybe offered these items for sale or has seen any suspicious activity over that time period, please contact the guards in Letterkenny 9167 100. I suppose anybody, any burglary is bad, but I hate saying, Greg, when a man's tools are being taken, because it's a lot more cost.
The livelihood too.
Exactly, yeah. So, anybody can contact any Garda station in relation to any of these appeals, because obviously we're all linked through computers and emails and stuff like that. Or indeed, you don't have to give your name or details. You can ring the Garda confidential line on 1800 666 111, indeed for any appeals.
Yeah, not talking specifically to this case, of course, because I have no knowledge of the circumstances, but I do know, I wonder sometimes, generally speaking, in general society, are garage doors are weak link. The locks can seem a little bit flimsy at times, from my experience. And, we could have an alarm system in the house but not have a sensor routed out to an outdoor space. I suppose it's something, if we can, we should be considering.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we shouldn't have to do these things.
Yeah,
but,
of course, but we are where we are.
You see us coming in here every week and we're making these types of appeals, so it's unfortunate that we have to lock everything down and nail everything down, but I suppose that's just the world we're living in, Greg.
Yeah, all right. Now, the next appeal is criminal damage in Letterkenny.
Yeah, again, attacking a man's livelihood, Greg. This man owns a fast food van. People will be very familiar with it on the Pierce Road. This happened on Wednesday night between 9 p.m. and 10 a.m. the next morning when it was discovered. Damage was caused to various parts of the van. I don't know exactly what, Greg, but entry was not gained to the van. So anybody that has observed anything suspicious around this mobile food van, please contact the guards in Letterkenny 9167 100.
You'd imagine someone has saw something. It's just getting that person with that information in contact with the Gardaí.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have any more details than that, Greg, about the type of property or what the type of damage was, but it should be covered by CCTV, I would think, as well.
Yeah, okay. Part of the investigation, of course. Right, criminal damage now in Downings.
Yeah, at Croc na Murlog Downings between Friday the 20th of May at 10 p.m. and Saturday the 21st of May at 9:30 a.m. 2 doors at the front of a house in that area were smashed between those times. No entry was gained to the house and nothing was stolen, so it appears to be just random criminal damage. So any residents in the area at Croc na Murlog that observed anything on Friday night the 20th of May, please contact the guards in Milford 9153 or indeed any Garda station.
All right, Kilmacrennan Road now, criminal damage there.
Yeah, sticking with the theme of smashing things up, Greg, St Connell's Hospital Day Centre window was broken there between 4 p.m. and Saturday the 14th, and it was discovered then on Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. A window was damaged at the centre between those times. Again, my colleagues in Letterkenny can be reached on 9167 100.
Right now, we are appealing as it relates to now a road traffic collision at Kilross.
Yeah, finally, my last appeal, Greg, for information is this collision that occurred at Kilross Convoy. People will be familiar with that junction there, the main road on the Letterkenny to Convoy and Stranraer Road. A minibus was travelling from the Convoy direction towards Stranraer when it was struck by a black BMW that had been travelling in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, the driver of the black BMW did not remain at the scene and took off. So anybody that has any information or dash cam that would cover that incident, please contact the guards again in Letterkenny 9167100. So anybody travelling on between Convoy and Stranraer at the Kilross junction between 6:45 a.m. and 7:15 a.m, quite early in the morning, please contact the guards in Letterkenny.
Okay.
I'm not sure the damage in that one, Greg, but you can only presume that maybe a wing mirror or something like that. So, or I'm not sure how heavy the damage was, but anybody, mechanics, whatever, that's been asked to replace a driver's side damage to a black BMW, maybe can get in touch with us as well.
Yeah. Okay. Right. An important recognition today in terms of the history of An Garda Síochána.
Yeah, I don't know.
Important to you, perhaps? I don't know, but it's
not
important to the folks.
Well, I suppose it's not something that would float my boat, Greg. But the Garda Commissioner is hosting a discussion on the establishment of the Garda Síochána to take over from the Royal Irish Constabulary, which happened 100 years ago. And this has been live streamed on Facebook after 7 p.m. So you'll get that through the Donegal Garda Facebook page, or indeed the Garda Facebook page. I suppose it's a niche thing, Greg, but I know you do have several historians here in Donegal might be interested in that.
Yeah, okay. There's a full panel discussion there, and you can watch it if that is your thing. It's going to be live streamed, as Niall said, on the Garda Facebook page after 7 p.m. if you wish to tune in. Right. Relay for Life takes place this weekend.
This time of year, Greg, Relay for Life 2022 is taking place this weekend, Saturday the 28th, again at the newly named Atlantic Technological University, formerly the LYT in Letterkenny. People, I'm sure, are very familiar with this event. It's a 24-hour fun-filled event which honours all cancer survivors, and gives us all a chance to remember those who maybe we have lost to cancer, or suffering or are recovering from cancer at the moment. My colleagues in Donegal will have a stand at the Relay for Life event, and indeed they're taking part as well over the course of 24 hours. So I just want to wish everybody the best of luck in this event. Very worthwhile cause, Greg.
Yeah. Indeed, and everyone's invited to go along. There's good parking, but it's like everything. It's not really a Garda matter. That all works if we follow the directions and park where we're supposed to park, and so on and so forth. Garda, Niall Maguire, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Greg.
We appreciate it greatly. That was the Community Garda information item here on Highland Radio. It'll be back with you on the show after the 10 o'clock news next Tuesday.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
The moment you got told the good news.
Rob, you made the panel.
When the lads added you into the group. Skipping nights out, missing the crack. Rewatching classics and learning new tricks. Being driven to the biggest game of your life by your mam. And then you finally come on in the 51st minute. It's the minor moments that last a lifetime. The Electric Ireland GAA Minor Championships. This is major.
Sun soak for less. This summer with TUI. Savings on holidays in May and June. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Thinking about a new car for the July registration? The award-winning Hyundai range includes the innovative and fun-to-drive i10, the i20 with its best-in-class safety features, and the i30 full of all the latest smart tech. There's also the award-winning Kona and the newly designed Tucson, all in stock. Call in and talk to the sales team today at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny, or call 91 22 600.
The Kia Sportage, Donegal's best-selling car for 2022. If you're thinking about making the move to Kia or to upgrade your current Kia, make sure to call in today to iMotors Letterkenny or Malin. With a 7-year warranty as standard, driving a Kia makes sense.
In the heart of Letterkenny, Warehouse Bar and Kitchen is an ideal venue for all your parties and celebrations. At Warehouse, you'll find delicious food and cocktails served every day and live music 7 nights a week. Mouth-watering lunch and dinner options along with the new look cocktail bar are waiting for you. Our late night venue is your weekend destination. Follow Warehouse Bar and Kitchen on social media for specials and updates.
And you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show, and congratulations to Brendan and Oisin and all the team, and Kevin, who engineered last night's DL debate live from Sister Sarah's. Really entertaining and got the juices flowing if they needed to be flowing any further for Sunday's big game between Donegal and Derry Ulster final. I'd say we were not unfamiliar with being in them now, but still it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a cracker, I think. If you want to listen back to that podcast, loads of great guests who know what they're talking about, plenty of banter and predictions. You can listen to the podcast of that now on our website, highlandradio.com. It's in the listen back section, or the on-demand section, I think it's called. I can't remember. It's like not knowing whether which hand you wear your watch on. I should know, but I don't, unless I look. So you can go and check that out. Also on there, you know, you get snippets from this program, you get the playback of this show, you get the Business Matters podcast. I mentioned the DL debate, the scores on there, all programming from Highland Radio that you can listen to on demand, and that section's just going to get busier in the future with more programs that you can listen to when you want to, especially in interesting programs between sport, news, current affairs, history, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned to the website because it's going to grow, and hopefully you're going to enjoy it. Good morning, Greg. Is it not illegal to sleep in your car? He can't stay in Dublin because his €120 expenses he gets won't cover the price of a room. He'll still get his €120 for sleeping in the car, surely? He wouldn't, would he? I'm not sure about the legalities of sleeping in your car, to be honest with you. A caller, yes, we need to make efforts to stop polluting our planet, but this new climate extremist green religious movement is not the answer. Small practical steps over time that don't cost ordinary working people a fortune are the way. Don't forget it was VAT on petrol and diesel that kept the government and big shots in big salaries for years. Now they realise the damage done. They're trying to blame ordinary folk for the damage done, as the so-called scientists have no option but combustion engines. Money was what mattered. Well, you see, the more money, the higher the price of petrol and diesel and fuel goes, the more money the government take, because that's the way it works. The bigger the price, the bigger the tax. So they're raking it in at the moment with the price of petrol and diesel. Another caller says there's no point in anyone comparing Ireland to China. If a bomb was sent to China by a madman, China would be gone. We don't want to take a chance like that in Ireland with the Irish people, but because of our land mass, I think one of those nuclear warheads from Russia would pretty much wipe us out anyway, whether we had a nuclear plant or not. But I understand what you're saying. Maybe one individual attacking one of these places. I'm presuming that's what you meant. Another caller says, Michael White saying we need wind turbines, and that I agree with, but Inishowen is full of wind turbines at the minute, and they're only working at 40 to 50% because the grid isn't big enough to carry the power out of the wind turbines. The problem is the grid. Another, why are they taking power from the windmills in Donegal to Dublin to run the database centres? Oh, by the way, my standing charge on my electricity bill has just gone up by 22 cents. Re the falling Garda recruitment numbers. Being a member of the Guards, like the priesthood, was once viewed as a position of prestige in Ireland. However, after a series of scandals in the force, many people are reluctant to join such a tainted organisation. Until all corruption is rooted out of the force, I fear good moral individuals will steer well clear. Good moral individuals will will steer well clear, I beg your pardon, of the Guards as a long-term career. All right. It is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We are going to take a short break. We might return with a piece of music. Stay where you are.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
At Lidl, we do things every day to make life better for us all. Things like being the first retailer to work with farmers on a sustainable beef programme to improve environmental impact. donating over 600,000 meals in the last year through our partnership with Food Cloud, and helping bees by doubling our number of pollinator-friendly stores in 2022. Decision by decision, day by day, we're taking Lidl steps to a better tomorrow. Join us on our journey today at lidlsteps.ie. Lidl, more for you.
The Star Wars story continues with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The fight is done. We lost.
Experience the new 6-episode series, streaming May 27th on Disney+.
The key to hunting Jedi is patience. Where is he?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, original series, streaming May 27th, exclusively on Disney+.
Your energy savings start right here, right now with Bord Gosh Energy. New and existing customers can save up to €974 with our best dual fuel offer. Find out more at boardgoshenergy.ie. Discount on our standard unit rates for 12 months with fixed term dual fuel contract. Annual savings figure compared to BGE standard rates. Offer available to new and existing single fuel customers. Unit rate and standing charge apply. See boardgoshenergy.ie for EAB prices and full T's and C's.
Is known as this one is hereditary amyloidosis, and it's a progressive, ultimately fatal condition without treatments. And up until a few years ago, there were none, but now there are, which is absolutely fabulous news. And the main reason for our group is to raise awareness of this condition. The earlier that people are diagnosed and have access to treatment, the better of a quality of life they're going to have.
Yeah.
And we're hosting the first ATTR amyloidosis conference in Gweedore at Anchurch Hotel this weekend. We have over 170 people attending, including world experts in the field of this condition and leading medical professionals from both the north and south of Ireland.
I'm looking at a map here that shows us the first 7 families identified. It's in a 1987 medical paper.
Yes.
And it's not a region of the world, it's not a continent, it's not a county in Ireland. It's really quite specific to a northwest-ish corner of Donegal. Is there an explanation for that?
No, there's no explanation for that. And as you would know, Greg, it has travelled the world with the Irish diaspora. So people in Australia, America, all over the world, all have ancestors from that particular region. Now, my aunt was one of the first people to be diagnosed with the condition, and on the map it shows Burt as an area where this disease originates.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened there was my great-grandmother was from the northwest of Donegal and moved to the Burt, Newton Cunningham area, we believe, through the hiring fairs. But we're so determined to raise awareness in this particular area of the country because, as you will see from the map, it's Burtonport, Bunbeg, Derrybeg, Carrygart, Gortnatraw. It's really a 15-mile ribbon of coastline from where this disease originates.
Right, so is it to do with an area? Is it local pollutants or something? Or is it genetics? Or do we actually know at this point?
They don't actually know. All we know at this stage is that it's genetic.
Mm-hmm. So it is, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it passes from one generation to the next. So really every generation has a number of people affected in each generation. And the trouble is for people that might have early symptoms, they're not aware that this condition is in their midst because over the years it was misdiagnosed. It might have been put down to angina or something else. And the figures indicate that about 40% of people are not aware of a family history.
Right.
So we would be asking people if they do have health problems and nobody seems to know what's going on, to have a think back about their family history to see if there could be any connection.
Right, okay. And the more people travelled, obviously, then the links get broken or it spreads out, doesn't it? I presume there was a time whereby, you know, it would be easy to identify, you know, everyone that may or may not be affected by this. But as you've already outlined, with people travelling, emigrating, whatever it might be, the links get broken in time. So do we think that the nucleus of it is here in the northwest of Donegal, and that every case that might pop up wherever it might be, and you think someone who may be adopted or something and becomes ill in North America, you know, yes. And they're going, well, I have nothing to base this on. Mm-hmm. Do you think if we could get this back to the beginning, it starts in Donegal?
Well, it would be fabulous to get it back to the beginning. I would need to be clear to say that there are a number of different types of hereditary amyloidosis. Okay. Our type is known as T60A. It's called Irish AMY or Donegal AMY throughout the world. But for this particular type, everybody needs to have an ancestor from this area. While it's a rare disease, it's all the more unusual in that it has a geographically specific point of origin. That's unheard of. And we do know that there is a common founder, which is quite interesting. It would be fabulous if somebody wanted to do a documentary to try and find out who that common ancestor was.
Right, so let's talk about symptoms then that people need to look out for. It is incredibly rare, and, you know, but I think knowledge is power, and at least it's something you can mention to your GP, and they might rightfully or wrongfully, hopefully not, dismiss it. But I think just if people have got something that they're struggling to say, we're being told it's not this, but I just don't feel it's that. So talk to me about, you know, typically, if there is a typical example of how this develops, what are the first signs, what happens next?
Yeah, there would be some typical symptoms, and I have to say, Greg, we are becoming increasingly aware that there are a significant number of Donegal GPs who are aware of this and have it on their radar, and we're ever so grateful for that. We obviously want more people to know about it, particularly in the different counties throughout Ireland. There will usually be a cluster of symptoms, so it can affect the heart. People may have breathlessness. It may affect the nervous system, where people have numbness or tingling in their extremities or feet. There could be bowel problems. There could be stomach problems. If people have a little cluster, the cluster causes problems because somebody could be going to a cardiologist for their heart and a neurologist for their polyneuropathy. We need people to join the dots for this particular illness. To pull the specialties together.
I mean, you could be referred to a cardiologist in Dublin, right? And they go down and they do whatever they do. You might not even mention, oh, and by the way, I also have a bowel issue or what have you. Then you come back up and, you know, with the best will in the world, you're probably no further on in terms of diagnosis.
You would be no further on, and that's why we're trying to educate the medical professionals and the patients and people that are involved.
So is there a typical age that these symptoms to start to manifest?
Yes, for my particular condition, the 50s and the 60s is when it starts. So if people... We would recommend, particularly for people that have a family history, that round about the age of 50 that they start to seriously consider genetic testing for this.
And does that have to be done privately?
No, it can be done through your GP, and it's a very straightforward process. It's either blood tests or saliva tests, and we also have the benefit of doctors referring people over to the National Amyloidosis Centre in London, which is the centre of excellence. But we do have medical professionals north and south of Ireland who are becoming increasingly involved in this field. Okay, in terms of treatments, I seem to recall from the last time I spoke about this, there are treatments that are effective for at least some, but it's where they're available is a problem. Yes, well, the last time we spoke to you, Greg, we were campaigning for my drug, which is patisiran, to be made available in the Republic of Ireland. It has been available in the Republic of Ireland from the 1st of October 2022. Very recently we had our... 2021, is that? 20... It's not available yet, is it? Oh, no, it was available from last October. From 2021, okay. Yeah, yep, sorry, no, it's fine, you're perfectly fine. So very recently we had our first patient in Donegal who had her infusion treatment in her Donegal home. At this stage, for new patients, they get the first 3 treatments in Tala Hospital in Dublin, and then they have it at home. I have also been on patisiran, which is administered every 21 days. It's a gene silencing treatment. It's a 4-hour infusion every 21 days, which helps to slow down the progression.
Does it reverse any of the problems associated with this disease?
I'm not entirely sure about the reversal. Some studies suggest that there are slight reversals, but the important thing is if people are diagnosed really early, I have to say I am incredibly fortunate. For somebody with this condition, I have an excellent quality of life.
Good, that's lovely to hear.
And I was diagnosed 2 years earlier than most because my family has lived with this for 40 years. I knew my family history and I was very aware of the early symptoms.
Right. Someone wants to know what would be the difference, and maybe it's obvious or not, between amyloidosis and motor neuron disease?
Well, they're two completely different diseases. They're and I wouldn't really know very much about motor neuron disease. They would be similar in that they are both progressive and ultimately fatal.
So in terms of amyloiditis and then the Donegal-Amy variant, or if that's strain or whatever the correct terminology might be, what's the percent? Like, is amyloidosis generally speaking rare, or is it the Donegal strain, we'll call it that, particularly rare?
No, hereditary amyloidosis is rare anyway.
Okay.
So there are 50,000 cases worldwide of hereditary amyloidosis, and Donegal-Amy is the third most prevalent.
Understood. Now, to be able to organise a conference, right, and to be able to attract such expertise in, this is kind of a strange question, but there are incredibly rare conditions or diseases, right, that don't get the research, that don't get the drug development, and perhaps don't get the attention of such highly qualified people. Is there a particular reason that this has caught the attention of the medical world compared to other conditions? Say, for instance, like Lyme disease, which many people believe does not even exist. Do you know what I mean? Is there a particular reason why you can organise such a big conference about something that is really relatively rare? I hope you understand the nature of that question.
Yes, I do, and I can't comment on Lyme disease.
No, but it was just to give the one example of something that was in the back of my head.
Yeah, well, we were very fortunate in that Donegal-Amy was first identified in America, and it really caught people's attention.
That's what I'm getting at,
The fact that it was rare, the fact that it was geographically specific. And then we were so fortunate that there were a team of researchers at the National Amyloidosis Centre. It caught their interest, and they have dedicated 25 years plus in seeing what they can do.
And that answers the question. I thought it must be something like that there's a curiosity there about this that would drive on sort of that level of research and what have you.
Yes, it really did, and we are so fortunate to have benefited from their intellect and compassion, that they have found solutions where there used to be any. The fabulous thing about my cousin is on CRISPR, which is CRISPR trial, which is the gene editing. The other reason I think that we attracted interest is that we are small enough in number that we are an excellent control group for experimentation. But if the CRISPR proves to be successful, Greg, it will in time roll out across every genetic disease. So it's absolutely fabulous. It's the stuff of dreams. Really.
Yeah, so success in this field could daisy chain to others. Okay, and as you say, maybe you say it's a good control group to develop.
Yes.
Right, so the emerging from the shadows, it's the ATTR Amyloidosis Conference 2022. Is it all in person, is it?
Yes.
You managed to attract all of these people to... your persuasive qualities must be quite impressive.
We do have persuasive qualities. I mean, I have to say a number of these people we've had relationships with over the years. For example, Professor Mary Riley, who's coming over to the conference, a world-renowned expert. She was one of the people who came and spent 2 years travelling back and forward from England and Donegal to research this condition. She's looking forward to meeting me in person. I'm Family D in her medical paper. Professor Julian Gilmore. We have been blown away by the response of people wanting to come. And if I could just say, in the very early days, a number of people that are more experienced than us said, You can't hold a major conference in, the wilds of Donegal. And we had a very strong gut feeling that that's exactly where we needed to hold it. It's the place where genes, geography, and genealogy collide. It's
the only place it could have been hosted. It's the only place it could have been hosted.
That's what we felt, and there's a sense of, as I say, my aunt was 4 decades ago, so after 40 years in the wilderness, there's a sense that we're bringing Donegal Amy home.
Okay, so it's Saturday the 28th of May. It's from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. in Anchurch Hotel and Health Club, Gweedore. You can reserve your seat now at amyloidosis.ireland@gmail.com. What kind of a turn-up would there be for this? Because, do you know what I mean? The numbers are relatively small and, obviously it might not be easy for everyone to travel here. So what's the expectation in terms of the crowd that might be there?
Yeah, well, we've had a huge response. It's for doctors and patients. And at this stage, we have over 170 people attending.
Amazing.
In person. We have a few seats left if people still want to reserve. But the response has been phenomenal.
Is this going to be a little bit too like a medical think-in, I wonder?
Yeah, it could well.
Not for the public, but, sort of accidentally, off the scenes, behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's the top people in the field. And we also have other amyloidosis groups travelling over from the UK. We have Canada coming. We have the European Alliance for Patient Access. And we have Amyloidosis International coming. So it's an historic international conference of the highest caliber.
Yeah, I think it is certainly going to be referenced in the future.
I would think so.
Just a word then to what do you think we need to say? Just because obviously we're here to talk about the conference and the work that's been ongoing, but to people who are living some sort of a medical nightmare, that they feel that what they have, no one can tell them what it is, or they're suffering in silence, or they're Googling it and they're putting it down to this, that, or the other, or maybe they might just say, well, it's my age, this is what happens, they're living alone, maybe they were adopted, I don't know, whatever it might be. So what is your message to people out there today who may have this? The sooner they come forward, hopefully the sooner they can get on some sort of a treatment. Because the thought if we could maybe stop one person's nightmare, all of this would be so worth it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is anyway, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. And, sometimes people ask us what the driving force is. And I can only say that we have seen this up close and personal. I'm not saying that other diseases are any gentler, but this one is particularly savage. And we have come across people who've been told that their symptoms were all in their head. We understand most of the problems that people might experience. What I would say to people is, if you have any suspicions at all, or if you're completely unclear, please make contact with us. We will speak to you. We have a team of 7. One of us will speak to you privately, confidentially. We will go through your symptoms. We will have those discussions with you and try to steer you in the right direction. We are experts when it comes to this disease, and we will know from speaking to people if there's a strong suspicion that that's what they may be dealing with.
And if you get the right signposting, it's a relatively simple test, will tell you one way or other.
Well, the genetic test will tell you if you carry the gene, and then there will be
an indicator.
Yeah, that will be a good indicator, and then there will be a battery of tests to see if the disease has actually started. Some people may carry the gene and not go on to develop the illness. Figures suggest that 80% of people do, and one of the medical papers that we've already referenced, Greg, has indicated that they believe that 1% of the population over the age of 45 in Donegal may be affected by my type of hereditary amyloidosis. So the numbers, we do believe, are larger than we know at the minute. I'm absolutely convinced there are
That's
people...
1,500 odd people.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, we're absolutely convinced that people are struggling with this and not dealing with it. And if I can say, in recent months, we've come across a few families that have lost a loved one to this and didn't even know it was in that it was in the family.
Okay. Right. Well, Rosaline, hopefully we've reached those people. Also, just to mention, already a huge amount of people have registered for this conference on Saturday with all the experts really that you'd want associated with this disease at present. If you want to reserve your seat, give us a ring here, because I have said about 7 different pronunciations of amyloidosis. So in terms of spelling, get in contact with us, and Caroline O'Donnell-Marie will spell it over the phone. But if you know the spelling, amyloidosis.ireland@gmail.com to reserve your seat. But you need to get in quick, because there's already been a huge response to that, as you can well imagine. All right, Rosaline Callahan, I'm delighted to hear that you're feeling good. And I just hope that we've reached people today that might be able to follow this up in their lives and either prevent or help to treat this condition for themselves.
Lovely. Thank you very much,
Thanks
Greg.
for your time. I really appreciate it. Back with more after the break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union. 9102127.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €50 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'd be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'd be them. 07491 43942.
What will your June feel like? Will you immerse mind, body and soul in the deep of sea or lake? Or scale new heights on one long roller coaster of adventure? To spread our wings and take one long, wonderful exhale. That's the bank holiday feeling. And June's long weekend is the perfect time to feel and bank it all. Ireland is waiting. Start planning at discoverireland.ie to make the most of your June bank holiday. And keep discovering. Brought to you by Fáilte Ireland.
Every time you support local business, you're creating local jobs and vibrant towns and communities for future generations. Let's champion green, and together we rise. Champion Green is supported by Kilkenny Design and Visa in association with Retail Excellence, Small Firms Association and Chambers Ireland. championgreen.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fancy a city break this summer? You can now fly twice weekly to beautiful Cologne in Germany every Sunday and Thursday with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Oh, the weather. Today will bring sunny spells and scattered showers, a few of them heavy. This evening, cloud will increase with rain and drizzle moving in from the west early tonight. Highest temperatures 13 or 14 degrees with mostly moderate westerly breezes, fresher in the showers. But we're being told, I've said it before and I'm sorry for repeating myself, but the weather's supposed to get pleasant for Friday, Saturday and Sunday at least. So that's nice if you're off at the weekend. So many of us, though, here in Donegal don't have weekends off. But a lot of people do the continental shifts they could be working. A lot of people work in hospitality or in retail. And I think if I were one of they, and everyone talks about, oh, lovely, the weather's great on Saturday. Trust, I do understand that not everyone is off, but hopefully you get away early and you can enjoy the weather. Maybe a barbecue, wouldn't that be nice? Right, yesterday we read a comment as it relates to the amount of Ukrainian refugees who are on Arranmore Island. Someone mentioned a figure and that like there was some sort of a mass exodus, but we like to deal in truth here. So we had a look into that situation. The reality is this. 14 Ukrainians were located on Arranmore Island. For medical and family reasons, within one family, 10 left. Okay, there was a medical situation with one member of that family, and they required medical treatment, and clearly the family wanted to be near where that medical treatment would be administered. So it's not like they had a look around Arranmore Island, and I think the people of Arranmore know how much I love that part of the world. It's not like they had a look around and said, right, we're getting the next ferry out of here. There was a medical emergency and they had to leave for that reason. So that is just to get to the truthful bottom of the situation. Okay, we are going to take a break. If you've any requests or dedications, we'll play a piece of music between 11 and 12. We'll play them out for you as well, but we've got so much more besides coming up for you. This break, afterwards, it's the news.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Breaking gardening news. Our correspondent Petunia at Alcorn's Garden Centre.
I am surrounded by an array of spectacular summer bedding. These beauties are moving fast, with last year's prices held. Wow! I'm amazed by the choice of shrubs, trees, roses and perennials. Ah, Rosemary has just selected a super specimen plant and trendy ceramic pot. Oh, Craig is advising on the many baskets. Buy from Alcorns, where value happens every day.
Print your First Communion photos at McGee's Chemist and you'll get a free, large 10x8 photo of your choice. With photos from just 12 cents, you can print in-store or use the McGee's Photo Prints app and have them delivered direct to your door. Preserve all your best First Communion moments or great memories from any big occasion with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, where the best costs less. Terms and conditions apply. Ask in store for details.
I can't stop thinking about them. I keep rereading their old texts.
Brian, this has gotta stop. It's been months, and they send those alerts to everyone. You know that, right? Look, your bank is leaving, but you gotta get back out there. Listen to me. Any bank would be lucky to have you, especially Bank of Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, they've even put together a simple step-by-step guide to moving banks and have a dedicated team on hand to help. Even an ending can be a new beginning. To start finding your new banking partner, download our step-by-step guide to moving banks. Search Bank of Ireland Big Move. Begin.
Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Funny with those ads, when it's the woman, she's a crying, miserable wreck on the telephone, and when it's a fella, he's just keeping it together, isn't it? Okay, listen, it is 11 o'clock. It's time for a news update, and we say good morning now to Michaela Clark. Hi, Michaela.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. 2 people remain in hospital following a crash in West Donegal last week. A silver Ford Fiesta and a black Volkswagen Golf collided in the Glacia area of Derrybeg shortly after 10 p.m. last Tuesday. The occupants of both cars, 4 males and 3 females, were taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for medical assessment and treatment for injuries sustained, none of which are believed to be life-threatening. Meanwhile, Gardaí are appealing to mechanics who may have been asked to repair a black BMW involved in a crash in the Kilross convoy area on Sunday to come forward. At approximately 6:50am, a minibus was travelling from the convoy direction towards Stranorlar when it was struck by a black BMW that had been travelling in the opposite direction. The driver of the BMW failed to remain at the scene. A senior medical scientist at Letterkenny University Hospital says no medical scientist wants to be on the picket line today. Up to 30,000 hospital procedures will be cancelled due to 2,100 medical scientists striking over the next 2 days. Garda and Letterkenny are investigating an incident of criminal damage to a fast food van in Letterkenny last week. Between 9 p.m. on Thursday last and 10 a.m. on Thursday morning, damage was caused to various parts of the van parked on the Pierce Road. Entry was not gained. A Fianna Fáil senator says the processing time for a child's passport is too long for many families. Lisa Chambers is one of a large number of mothers around the country who have had to wait over 3 months for the vital document for their child. New figures released today show almost 200,000 people are waiting for their passports ahead of a busy summer season. A public consultation event held in Buncrana last night has been hailed a success. Hundreds of people were in attendance to view plans for a new leisure centre for the town and the major €20 million Repowering Buncrana initiative that will see the town's shorefront developed. And 3 men arrested by detectives as part of their investigation into an aggravated burglary at a house in Castlederg last month have been released on bail pending further inquiries. Detectives continue to appeal for information about the incident, which occurred on April the 5th, shortly after 6 p.m, when a number of masked men armed with weapons, including a sledgehammer, forced entry to a house in the Drumna Bay Park area. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much indeed, Michaela.
manager's trying to bring down the government.
We're going to change the world.
Smashing it to Disney Plus. Pistol, a brand new original drama.
Our singer is fully insane. Our bass player starts fights for laughs. This is punk.
Come see us play. We're awful. Ladies and gentlemen, Sex Pistols.
From director Danny Boyle, Pistol, streaming soon, exclusively on Disney Plus. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Okay, your comments here. There was a full generation who didn't drink. It was due to a rise in the drug scene. This is the reason why alcohol is cheaper in the north. I'm not saying anything to back that up, but it's an opinion. Thank you. I think that Red Bull should be banned from nightclubs. Mixing a depressant alcohol with a stimulant is incredibly bad for you. And a caller says, what about the drug issue in Donegal now at the nightclubs? Our youth are changing from drinking to drugs. That's a very big issue, I think. All needs talked about. Great show coming in from Sylvia. Thank you very much indeed, Sylvia. Greg, I have to laugh at the amount of people who complain about the price of petrol per litre, but not a word about the price of alcohol per litre. Interesting, so many can find the money for alcohol, but complain about the cost of everything else. Well, I mean, you know, you need petrol to get to work and to get the children to school and to get to the doctors and stuff. Alcohol for most people would be something that you choose to do. Not for everyone, though, and that's part of the conversation we were having on the programme yesterday. Right, okay, now it is time to welcome onto the programme Dr. Anthony Breslin. He's Director of Public Health with the HSC. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Right, okay. I mean, obviously, we used to speak to you quite regularly in the past. There was a big push on the vaccine uptake, the booster uptake. Now, what we're hearing is, you know, the occasional ad on the radio or the odd interview here and there. But there is a strong push, presumably from you and your colleagues, to get those who would benefit from a fourth injection to get it. Is that correct? Is it fourth or fifth? It's fourth,
yes,
isn't it?
For anybody who should get a vaccine should be getting it. If they haven't had it at all, if they haven't had a full course, if they haven't had the first booster, if they haven't had the second booster. So we're saying people who should get the vaccine, haven't got it, go and get it, and particularly those over 65 and those who have immunosuppression for some reason.
And where can you get it now?
You can get it from your GP, and you can get it from some pharmacies, and there are still some HSE-run clinics as well.
Now, there are a couple of strains doing the rounds. One found in Ireland. I heard some of the media coverage saying the reason, you know, there's a bit of concern here is it can evade, some of the effects of a vaccine, particularly if you had it some time ago, and also if you've had COVID before. Some might listen to that and go, well, if it can evade the vaccine, what's the point in me getting a booster?
Well, because it's not the dominant circulating strain at the moment. The others are still dominant. You can still pick up those. And even though it may not provide 100% protection, as it were, against the new variants, which are small in numbers at the moment, it would provide some protection. So it's better to get the vaccine than not to get the vaccine. And we don't know what's around the corner with other variants as well. We've seen, I mean, I'm sure people have given up trying to keep track of all the variants there are, and we could get another variant that could be very, very responsive to the vaccine. So it's a good vaccine, it's a safe vaccine, it works, so it's worthwhile getting it.
All right. What about how much COVID is around at the moment? Can you get a gauge of that with the level of testing that's ongoing?
We can get a rough gauge between that. The antigen tests are reported, the PCR tests are being done. The numbers are very small, thankfully. And we can also look at the number of admissions and also at the number of outbreaks. They're very, very small, thankfully. So we hope it continues. Obviously, as I said, we don't know what's around the corner in terms of variants. And obviously, in the autumn and winter, when people start getting indoors again, we don't know what will happen then. But we're hoping that the vaccine will be very, very useful to us then in preventing serious infection and outbreaks.
Do we know yet what the situation will be as it relates to an annual situation?
No, we don't know yet, because we don't know. We're going to get a changing picture all the time, or will it go to some steady picture, whatever. That's been looked at big time, but we can't give an answer at this stage.
Okay, so we don't know if it's going to become a seasonal sort of an event whereby we will manufacture a vaccine. What we do with the flu, we just don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet, yeah.
Okay, right. So people feel, right, at the very least, we've a respite from COVID, and now the headlines. The main story is monkeypox. Now, my read of what seems to be there is obviously medical professionals like yourself need to get the message out there, but cases seem rare. There doesn't seem a huge concern that this could be something that leads to mass outbreaks, and I don't think we've had any cases here in Ireland yet. And in terms of outcomes, I think 2 of all cases so far have had to be hospitalised. But that's my reading of it. What's the medical reality from the professional's perspective?
There, it is. We haven't got cases in Ireland yet. We probably will with the spread around the world and Europe, etc. While it is a sort of a moderate self-limiting disease in the vast majority of people, it can become a serious infection in those who are immunosuppressed and also in children. I've seen media reports of a child being admitted in the UK, but I haven't seen anything official about that. We don't want to get to that situation where we have close contacts isolating for 21 days and small outbreaks happening all over, and it's enough cases out there that it gets to children and it gets to immunocompromised. We don't want to go there. That's why we're trying to control it, so it does not become an issue, so that in a couple of weeks' time we can stop talking about it. Okay, so you know you're in the business of public health and getting the message out there. Thankless at times, Dr. Bresson, as you know yourself, and I know myself. When we were trying to share the information about COVID, a lot of people wanted it and were interested in it. A lot of people were like, "Oh no, not Greg and Anthony again," right? So with that in mind, do you think there's a responsibility on the media to be measured in their response to things? In other words, like, I'm not saying they have, right? But, you know, when it comes around to when we need really important, strong messaging, do you think maybe we need to be measured in how we cover things like monkeypox? Because we could find ourselves in the situation where the boy cries wolf, you know, and bad news sells. Do you think the media needs to say, and I think particularly the national media say, right, we need to think about where we're positioning this stuff because we might need that headline slot in September or October? I mean, I think in general, the media have been responsive, particularly the local media like yourselves and elsewhere around the country. You haven't hyped things, you haven't refused to report things, as it were. And obviously, what I say today, some people will say, there's a bit of sense in that, and they'll say loads of rubbish. But what we're trying to get across is enough information for informed decision-making about whatever we're talking about. And the local media are allowing that. And obviously, national media sometimes, to use the phrase, big things up because it suits their audience, etc. But that's the way life is with anything. It could be a financial issue, it could be the housing issue, whatever. That's the way the media works. But I can say that in the Northwest, yourself and your colleagues further down south in broadcasting and in the print media have been very, very reasonable. I'm not saying you've taken everything verbatim. I'm not saying you haven't challenged us. And for instance, with ourselves, you either challenged me or you had put queries from your listeners in to challenge me, and that's part of the game. Well, that's how we get to information. We have a conversation, exactly. Isn't it? And yeah, okay. And that's the way it is. I just don't want. I just find, as I say, some outlets, and I'm not asking you to criticise them. I wouldn't for a second, but just amplifying this, and then what happens is it pitches out if it does. If not, then we get back to it again. But then when we need to talk about something that's really, really serious, then people will go, oh, well, you said that about monkeypox. Anyway, it's an ongoing journey. Right, I just want an update with you as it relates to hepatitis of an unknown origin in children. Has that moved in any direction since we last spoke? Actually, I didn't speak to you about this. My apologies, Dr. Bresson. No. I spoke to one of your colleagues. No, you're okay. There are a small number of cases in the country, as you know, from national briefings. We haven't seen, thankfully, an upsurge in cases. Internationally, we're seeing cases increase, but at a low level, but they are coming in from all around the world. Unfortunately, we still don't know what's at the bottom of it. I suppose the main theory at the moment is the adenovirus infection, but we still haven't got concrete information on that. So we're basically trying to do lots of research internationally, a lot of cooperation between ourselves and the UK and Northern Ireland as well on that, and testing, etc., and the care of patients. But the main thing is to get the message out. Again, not to make people anxious that it is mainly young children. They get sick, they get a pale feces, a stool, they get dark urine, they get unwell. Talk to your GP, get an opinion from a paediatrician, and they take it from there.
Okay.
And there have been situations where around the country, kids have come in and we said, oh, could be, and then do investigations and things settle, and it's not.
Better to do that than to ignore it or think it's something else.
Totally, yes.
Now, obviously, I've read some reports. This could be linked to COVID vaccine. Now, I'd have thought this could be quite easy to root out because this is a cohort that's not broadly vaccinated.
It's not, because the vast majority have not been vaccinated.
Dr. Anthony Breslin, thank you as always.
Not at all.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Bye-bye.
Take care. That's Dr. Anthony Breslin, Director of Public Health at the HSE. And as I say, I just think there needs to be more responsibility. There are reporting guidelines on other serious issues, such as, say, for instance, suicide and others. And I think it's really important that do we need guidelines on reporting things like monkeypox? Because it's important there's information out there, but I think it has to be measured. Because I was listening to one national radio station, RTE, and it was headline news, and I think if anyone was listening to that, they would think that this is the next big thing, and it's not, and we've an awful lot to contend with at the moment, and I just don't think we need important issues in context, good information to be amplified to worry people. I just don't see any benefit in that. 08660 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number. Right, I want to say happy 14th birthday to Aaron Bates in Convoy, coming in from your mammy. And also, happy 98th birthday to Katie McConaughey from Corrie Port Salon, from all your family, friends, and all of us here at Highland Radio. Happy birthday, everyone. Okay, we'll be back with more after this from Queen and David Bowie. And this is their track, Under Pressure. All right, DJ asks on Facebook if these children who have hepatitis had the vaccine. I know myself, they haven't. The vast majority have not had the vaccine. And I think it would do us a disservice in investigating it and try and get to the bottom of it if we started blaming everything on that. Right, okay. Michael Doherty joins us on the programme now. Hi, Michael.
Yes, Craig. How's things?
I'm good. Right, you have a wind farm in Inishowen, like a full industrial scale, not industrial scale one, but like a big one, or is it a small one, or what's the story?
Oh, well, I have a couple of small ones in Inishowen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm supplying power to the national grid. But I was at that meeting last night in Buncrana, and I have planning for 14 windmills here on another site, right?
Yeah.
And I got it about 8.5 years ago. You get a 10-year planning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's 8.5 years of the planning up. Thanks to Airgrid, because they never give out no grid connections for the last 10 years until last year. So that's big part of the problem. So anyway, I was looking at the new development plan there, and the Donegal County councillors, they all voted. They've actually wiped out everything in relation to renewable energy on the one mill side of it, because this site that I have here, there's 18 months planning left on it. They've had wiped out as well.
So could you not get an extension?
Well, I'll come to that in a minute. I asked one of the planners last night, from you order the turbines today till you get them up and get them commissioned, that's roughly about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be 6 months outside of my timeline. So I asked him, would I get an extension? He says you will, provided you have substantial works done.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask, yeah.
I says, can you tell me what substantial works? He says, I'm sorry, I can't answer that.
Mm.
So that leaves it in limbo. So, why they've taken every site in the country out, elevated sites, then every one of them taken out. The only one is that they've allowed is down probably at 300 to 400 feet above sea level. And they're all probably fairly close to houses.
Mm.
And, when you go to a bank to finance that, the first thing the bank manager will ask you for is a one speech. And 7.5 meters per second probably is the lowest you can come down to. But they would rather have 8 meters per second.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another barrier there.
So you're saying they're being planned out of existence?
Huh?
They're being planned out of existence. In other words, you can maybe in some places build these wind farms, but they're not practical. So in other words, you might as well not be given planning at all.
That is right, 100% right. That is right. And I have one of built on this site here that the 14's going on that they're planning for. And why has Donegal, the councillors, voted this down? Why have they done it?
Well, we'll have to look into that.
Petrol and diesel is £2 a litre at the minute,
and
it's rising. A fill of oil is around about €1,400 heating oil. So where are we going? We're going backwards.
Can I ask you a little bit about running the wind farm? Like, how many days or weeks in a year would you be putting energy into the grid?
Every week.
And it's incredibly wind dependent, is it?
And something else. Well, probably June and July would be 2 your weakest months. Other than that, you have 10 months.
Right. And in terms of, fossil fuels required to keep them 14 wind turbines, because obviously, as I say, I referenced this earlier, but you own wind turbines. Like, do you need any other unsustainable energy to keep these generating energy?
Oh, no. The one turns them.
And it just drives electricity into the grid, and that's it. There's no other intervention required.
No. There's no oil out of Russia required for that.
Okay. What about gas out of the Carib? Nothing.
No.
Okay.
No. And just another thing I want to put straight, I had a lot of people ringing in this last couple of years to your station as well, is what's the point in having windmills when electricity prices are rising?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm getting 8 cents for my power. That's what I'm getting. And if you look at your household bill today, you're being charged 25 to 30 cents for your day rate and 15 cents for your night rate.
Mm. And you're only getting 8 as the generator.
I'm getting 8 cents, and all one farm developers are the same. That's what they're getting.
Yeah.
That's the off-takers. So the regulator needs to step in here, or the government. There's somebody making money 3 times more than we're getting.
But it's like farming and other industries, isn't it? The person supplying the core product, they're getting the least.
Well, that's always the way it's right. That is right now.
And, do you think... just to answer a couple of questions while we have on someone who actually works with wind turbines, because it's quite fascinating. Can the grid take all the power you generate? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'll come to that. I was in Dublin 6 years ago, and I asked EirGrid what were they doing about upgrading the lines at Donegal. And the answer they gave me was that it was going to cost 48 million to upgrade the lines out of Donegal.
Mm.
And they didn't think it justified that spend. Now, they're spending 200 million a day down in Dublin on a quick fix to keep the lights burning.
Mm-hmm.
They can't give data centres grid connections. The earliest is 28,
mm-hmm.
and they'll create thousands of jobs in this country. So that's another downer as well for this country.
It's a little bit like the electric cars. Everyone should have one, but we don't have the charging infrastructure yet.
No,
we don't have the infrastructure yet to carry the power from these turbines. And let me ask you, is there times where you could be generating electricity, and do you get an indication that they want you to stop? What is the journey of the power from your turbines, and how does it work into the national grid? Does it go local? Is it sent to Dublin? I don't know. How does that work, Michael?
Well, it probably goes local. I would say it goes local. But it travels on the lines, you just don't know. But I would say it doesn't travel, because the farther it travels, you lose more.
Right, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And can you keep your turbines going all the time, or at times can the grid not take it?
Oh, they're going all the time. They're going all the time. They can't switch them off because, you see, the moisture will get into them.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be generating all the time.
All right, and obviously, you think you could be doing more. We could be easing our reliance more, but you're planned out of being able to provide more turbines.
More turbines, you're chatting about 10 years. Them 2 men you're on the radio this morning. Offshore's 10 years down the road. Where will we be in 10 years?
Well, I think that's incredibly optimistic. Because I don't think we can. The planning, the time it takes for these projects to go through is astronomical. Michael, you've been listening to this stuff for years, right? I haven't spoken to you before, I don't think. What else has been said that you want to say, well, that's not the reality? Do you know what I mean? From someone who, from within the industry operating, what other myths are out there?
I think all this stems from was because maybe of one mistake was made on one farm in Donegal. I'm not going to mention where, but that where there was a mudslide. But you see, once you get planning for anything, there's planning conditions in there, right? But there's one vital planning condition that the planners don't have in there when they grant planning permission, especially for windmills and all, is before work commences on the site, the developer should have to furnish the planners with the name of the contractor that's going to do the civil works. And secondly, what experience has he got? And how many years, experience has he got, and has he developed many wind farms? And that's not asked. Because if you're the one farm today and you bring in a contractor that never had any experience of building out a one farm, it's like asking a man to jump onto a plane down in Dublin that was never on a plane before.
I get what you're on about, and I think too, it also needs roads expertise in terms of linking that power to the linking that power to the local station as well. All that stuff. Okay. Right, Michael, I appreciate... what are you going to do now? I mean, you can't roll the dice on substantial work. Like, if you pour concrete for the bases, is that enough? If you have the order, with an estimated delivery time, is that enough? I mean, presumably you can seek a further meeting with planners to get some clarity on those issues, because I presume, it was... it maybe wasn't all the expertise that we have in that regard of that meeting last night. Are you going to seek a meeting with planners to try and get some clarity on the planning situation?
Well, I'll have to, but regarding that, still the question is, I had another site here, roughly 30 megawatts. I was just about to lodge it into planning, and have swiped off as well. And I spent 2 years doing board studies and all different sorts, and it cost a lot of money.
I'd imagine.
That's down the tubes as well.
Is there money in power generation when you get... I mean, I presume it's a long-term game, and I'm not looking for figures. But is there money in it?
Well, after probably 15 years there will be,
You have to be patient.
You have to be patient,
And like growing trees. All right, listen, Michael, thanks for that.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye. 086 60 25,000. I mean, obviously... wind farms are a divisive issue, but I think it's interesting to get some facts from his perspective of what the situation is as it relates to how green they actually are, how they feed into the grid, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you found that informative, as I did.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
Treat your garden to a makeover at GMG Stone Letterkenny. We offer great value on decorative stone, garden paving, slabs and artificial grass, all tailored to your needs with home delivery available. We also supply railway sleepers, whiskey barrels and place sand, all available for pickup or delivery. Open Monday to Saturday from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. You will find us beside Donaghy Motorhomes on the Port Road. For an appointment, call 087 647 9121. GMG Stone, just what your garden needs.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP room, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Okay, so we asked, would you be happy to use nuclear energy if it were an option? In other words, if it were generated in Ireland. On Twitter, 67% of you said yes, 33% no. On Instagram, 40% said yes, and 60% said no. So difference of opinion there, pretty much equal, the difference. On different social media platforms. Brendan O'Connor is the incoming president of the Garda Representative Association. Good morning to you, Brendan.
Good morning, Greg.
What I note with interest is some of the headlines coming out of this conference, which is currently on in Westport, is stuff we've been talking about for years. You know, the issue of training of Garda, advanced driver training, so they can exceed the speed limit or use their lights or whatever. You know, basic tools of crime prevention that's still in 2022 are the subject of a GRA conference. It's ridiculous, not from the GRA's perspective, but that this stuff is still there's still these gaps.
Yes, Greg, and I just completely share your sentiments there, because the taxi I felt whenever I was looking at the agenda, that these are all issues that I've been speaking to you and indeed Sean for years, and to think that little or no progress has been made on them is a bit depressing for our members. But it's important to keep beating the drum, because there's a very strong message being sent out there from the Communications Department, Winner Garda Síochána, and the Department of Justice, that would perhaps give a different impression to communities across the country and across Donegal that all is well in the Guards, and that it's the best resource, best equipped, and delivering a better service than ever, and that is clearly not the experience of our members, who are the people who deliver frontline policing and know more about it, I think, than any other group in society.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the where the Guards are there, they're there, right? I presume a good proportion of them would be open to this training. What's the problem? Like, is it a lack of training? Is it to do with, I don't know, what is the, why do we have members of the force sitting in the driver's seat of a car that can't switch the flashing lights on?
Absolutely. I don't like to belittle the situation, but it's bordering on farce that, you know, we know in Donegal the size of the county and the distances that have been travelling, and the fact that if a citizen picks up a phone, dials 999 and says, I am in crisis and I need help, that you'll have a guard driving along that maybe has to stop at a red light for roadworks so there's nothing coming the other way, or if there's a car in front of them driving slowly, that they can't even just signal that driver to move over and let them pass. It's just beyond anything in this day and age. So, and I suppose the problem is, us in the Guards, we do have a culture of service and making bad systems work, but that's to our detriment, because we're seeing now individual Gardaí being held to account and actually disciplined for driving with blue lights on, and we just think that's completely intolerable. And I think any reasonable thinking member of the public who relies on our service would share those thoughts. But again, we beat this drum and nothing changes.
Also, as it relates to I did hear some discussion about self-defense classes, which I don't know, to be honest with you, I rolled my eyes at that, but that's probably my ignorance, Brendan. I'm just thinking of a situation whereby a guard who shouldn't be on their own is having to be out on their own and having to deal with 2 or 3 people perhaps, or whatever. I don't know how much training would be required for it to be effective. Is this tied to perhaps maybe also talking about stun guns and equipment as a deterrent? I don't know. What you're the expert, you're the professional. What's the mood in the force?
It's just the overall package, you know, of issues, because the statistics are there. The members are being assaulted. The levels of injuries and the amount of absenteeism and non-effectiveness because of assault. So we're saying something has to be done. And maybe, you know, I can just speak for myself personally. Let's say I was attested to the force in 1997, so it's now 25 years since I had any self-defence training. So even if I had the best self-defence training at the time, it's getting a bit rusty. So we need to train people how to prevent.
So there is some merit in that.
Themselves. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And we say, you know, we should be. Most police services train their people regularly, and they have yearly training of, you know, to ensure that they're up to speed with proper practices and so we think that actually could be a benefit to the taxpayer, because maybe guards just would know how to maybe block assaults or take people down, or better use of restraints and that sort of thing that would lead to less injuries. And then, as you say, use of tasers. Tasers are very effective. Less lethal use of force in very serious situations. We're not suggesting that guards be running around tasering people left, right and centre, but unfortunately there is a lot of instances out there involving knives and sharp instruments and that, and we just believe that access to taser is something that most police officers in Europe and across the world take for granted. Yet, I mean, in Donegal we'd be relying on the ASU to come from Ballyshannon if we're looking up to there, or maybe come from Sligo. So we just think there should be more available. And if we look to Scotland, which is probably a type of policing that would replicate Donegal, whenever Police Scotland decided that tasers were an appropriate piece of equipment, they actually rolled them out to officers who worked in the Highlands alone quicker than they deployed to the city centre stations where people had backup.
Yeah, I get you. What is morale like, Brendan? Because, you know, I get a sense from people I would speak to out and about that it really hasn't perhaps been much lower. You know, when you're asked to do overtime or what have you, that there's less of an inclination to sort of want to do it because you just want a break from the work. There's some people, excellent guards, who are getting out just as soon as they can because they, you know, if they've an option to get out, that's what they want to do. I'm not sure what recruitment is like, but I just get a sense, as to say, that morale is really, really low at the moment. Maybe too also with the role that Garda had to play through COVID, it didn't help. But also too that there's it's not a brain drain, but it's the experience equivalent. Like, how much of that is true? How much of that's a reality?
The look, you encapsulated the situation perfectly there. And if we take, I suppose, we look at Donegal, for example, you have two scenarios. You have the 24-hour centres like Letterkenny, Buncrana and Ballyshannon, where you have young members on units there responding to incidents. And the level of attrition, the workload and the burnout is just phenomenal. And as you say, it's years ago, people would be delighted to work a shift of overtime to get a few bob. Now, members are saying, no, I need to break. I can't take any more. My workload is too excessive. We have guards going in on the day off doing files, guards taking files home. Then you go out to the rural stations. We've just had a delegate address conference there who's stationed in Moville. He outlined how it used to be 9 guards and a sergeant when he went there, and it's now down to a sergeant and 2 guards, soon to be 2 guards. So members in the outlying stations, while they may not have the same volume of work, there's less of them doing the same amount of work. So they are carrying a bigger burden. I'm left on my own station. So you have that attrition. So then how does that manifest itself? Well, senior guards in the outlying stations, when they hit the 30 years, a lot of them are saying, this isn't for me, I'm getting out, I can't take any more. Or the young people who are starting out, they're experiencing the burnout in the bigger stations, and they're resigning in significant numbers, which is a phenomenon that is really strange to guard. So, and recruitment is not keeping a pace. We had 25 recruits started in the Garda College in the last intake, 25. You know, that you hit now, that's not for the entire year, obviously, but I mean, again, the public statement for the budget, there'll be up to 800 guards recruited. We won't see the 800, and whatever we do see won't actually balance out those leaving the force. So we're actually on a downward trajectory now at the moment, which is very alarming. And we would say that 14,000, even when we have all those numbers, isn't enough when you compare to Scotland, where there's over 17,000 sworn police officers policing a similar sized population.
Yeah, but you've been obviously banging the drum for the Northwest, for Donegal, and it seems somewhat ignored. From an outsider looking on, and you can no comment or say I'm completely wrong. It just seems some of the decisions that are made by senior Gardaí, it's more like following what's on in the media. If journalists focus on a particular problem in an urban area, resources are sent there. If the next story is about a particular a particular situation on a border, in a border area, Gardaí are sent there. Very sort of reactionary to what's in the newspapers, what's in the media, and yet then we have these glaring gaps in the likes of Donegal, and no matter what you say, no matter what the other members of the force say, nothing gets done. Is there any truth in anything I've just said from your view?
Absolutely, Greg. And I mean, the classic example is the access to transport in Donegal. And I'm very conscious. Look, I'm now the national president, so I speak for all our members. And I'm not going to say let's take resources off members, but I speak to guards around the country. There are stations where there are vehicles parked up that are not used on a full-time basis, but are there for use whenever the demand increases. Yet in Dunfanaghy, I have no car at all ever to go to work at the minute. So that's just an example. And I've speaking to guards around the country who were saying to me, years ago the problem was that we had guards and no cars. Now they have cars and no guards. We have no guards and no cars. Now that's obviously the extreme, but certainly, and I know it as you say, they only react to crisis, and so I believe the public representatives in Donegal need to stamp their feet more and demand better service on the public, because it's not unlike.
And it used to be the case, though.
Like
I don't want to call anyone out, because then I might do those that did say something a disservice, but police resources, stories like that you relate, it should be an absolute scandal that there's a lack of Garda in Dunfanaghy and Moville, for example, as was mentioned. That should be what people are up in the dole, embarrassing the minister responsible into action, saying, really, is it like that? This is I'm going to have to get on to Drew or whatever. You know what I'm on about? But I mean, it doesn't seem to be. Maybe he's not a vote getter. I don't know.
Well, we have said consistently as an association is that there should be a clear level of, or clearly a demarcation point that say X amount of guards are required to police Donegal, and we can look at it and say, right, well, we're below quota or we're above quota or we're holding ground. We don't have that. The allocation of guard resources is a political football, and unfortunately the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and it would appear that maybe Donegal isn't just getting, our message isn't getting through. And but the problem is, Greg, and we abandon about these concepts and these words like accountability. So if a guard in Donegal puts on their uniform tonight and goes out and deals with an incident, they're accountable for with the outcome and their decision making. But if you say to someone in Donegal, why is there no guards or why is there no car? Well, local management say, well, we can only have what we are given from Dublin. We can only allocate that. If you speak to Dublin, they'll say, oh, well, that's a local management issue. There's resources running all up to local management. So who is actually accountable? We have a joint policing committee, we have a policing authority, we have a Garda inspectorate, we have all these quangos and talking shops. But who actually made the decision that there will be less guards in Moville? And if it was made, why was it made? What was the rationale? And the people in Moville are entitled to know that.
Well, if you don't know that, we're banjaxed. And yet it's like we hear the same arguments in health and in other areas. Brendan, thanks for your time this morning. Congratulations, by the way, on your elevation to President of the Garda Representative Association. And we appreciate your time on this programme. As you're always available to us, and we appreciate that. Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks very much.
All right,
Greg.
take care of yourself. 086 60 25,000. Your views, 086 60 25,000. Give us a call on 074 91 25,000. This listener says, the court is letting down the Gardaí. The penalty does not fit the crime. Gardaí do not know what's facing them. It's a shame on them. Another, there's been no patrol car in Dunfanaghy since October. It's not good enough. I think we referenced that as part of that interview. It's not good enough, but it's good enough to someone who makes the decisions and thinks that Dunfanaghy doesn't deserve a patrol car.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Fly with Loganair from City of Derry to Edinburgh and immerse yourself in the live shows and street food of the Fringe Festival this summer, with discounts for children aged 11 and under.
Fly with me, I want to take you there. Precious moments of this journey to where homeward bound again.
Book now at loganair.co.uk. 15 kilo luggage allowance as standard.
Right now, you can get Sky TV and broadband with Netflix at no extra cost, all for €55 a month.
Must be worth a conversation, son.
Yep, Netflix is on us.
Shall we dance?
With Sky, you get the best entertainment all in one place. So get Sky TV and broadband with Netflix at no extra cost, all for €55 a month. What are you waiting for? Search Sky 55. Availability subject to location. New Sky customers only. Setup fees, minimum term and further terms apply. For more information, see sky.ie/speeds.
Buy now and then split your payment over 3 months, interest-free, with Klarna at Tinny's Toys, Letterkenny. Now that the evenings are longer, there's loads of great ideas for outdoor fun at Tinny's, like pedal and battery ride-on tractors, cars and jeeps. Also a great range of outdoor toys like swings and slides now in stock. Shopping made easy with Klarna at Tinny's Toys, Leck Road, Letterkenny, and at tinnystoys.com for express delivery or click and collect.
It's a busy time on farms, so watch out for tractors, trailers and other farm machinery using the roads. Be patient, slow down and only overtake farm machinery when it's safe to do so. If you're driving a tractor, you must hold a licence. Make sure your vehicle is roadworthy, check your load regularly and drive at a safe speed. Be aware of traffic building up behind you and when possible, allow cars to pass safely. From the Road Safety Authority and the Irish Farmers Association.
Okay, regular visitors or infrequent visitors to St Patrick's Well at Greenan and Avalia in Donegal may have noticed that a wooden cross that was there is no longer there. Catherine McGlynn is joining us now. She's from We Love Donegal to tease this out with us. Good morning, Catherine.
Hi, Greg.
Would you describe this as like a wooden Celtic cross? Is that...
Yeah, it's very nice. It looks like it's hand carved. And now, it was just I was up there last week with some friends who were over from the UK, and we took them up, of course, there because, of course, the fort and then the fantastic views over Inch Island and beyond. But one of our parties, a retired vicar from Wales, so I told him about the holy well behind the fort, so he wanted to see it. And my last pictures taken now were 2019, this month in 2019. So this month when I went up, 2022, the cross is gone.
Yeah, in the pictures that you've posted, it looks big, it looks heavy, it looks like it's leaning a little bit. Is it possible that it fell over, no one's responsible, and it was just removed for safety reasons?
No, because it wouldn't have fallen over without somebody noticing it, because it's not that big. It would be I'm terrible at measurements, maybe 2 feet high or
Was that all?
in or
Right,
around
okay,
that.
no, it looks bigger than that. My apologies.
Yeah. No, it's not huge. It's well, that's perspective because
Yeah.
I was down low to take the picture with the fort in
I was
behind.
going to say, it looks twice the size of the fort behind it.
It's like that Father Ted moment with Dougal. This is near it. So it wouldn't have fallen over that you wouldn't see it because the well is nicely maintained. It's not overgrown like a lot have been to. It's, you would see it. And I got on to then, I Googled yesterday, after I tweeted it, I Googled and I found a Facebook page for Greenan as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a reply from them, and they said that they were equally shocked to discover it had gone. So
we don't know when it went, by the way. It could have been the day before the pic you took your last picture. It could have been the day after you took the picture in May 2019. We really don't know.
Yeah.
Someone's going to know.
Well, someone obviously
and hopefully they'll
removed
get in touch with us. But why? Why would they remove it? Because it doesn't. It looks like you have to find your way to where it's at. It doesn't look like it's spoiling anything. And obviously, it's got a religious symbolism there. I can't understand why anyone would go up and remove it. Like, it's not offensive. It's not in the way. It's not disturbing anything.
And unless you knew it was there, you wouldn't know it was there. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go around the side of the fort and walk down the hill a good wee bit, and then you find it. And I only found it because I'm trying to photograph all the holy wells in Donegal, so it was on my list to do from a book from 1936 because Owen was meant to have been blessed by St. Patrick there.
Yes.
And
I mean this respectfully as well. Okay. It's a cross, but it's not so beautiful that it would something that you would steal and put in your garden. Does that make sense? I said I don't want to offend anyone. I can't see the motivation for it being removed.
The only thing I can put it, I don't think anybody who is of a religious ilk would take it, not to do with you're not allowed to steal, but to do with the fact that, do you know the way you shouldn't, like holy artifacts like that would not be good for you to be removing, do you know? So
if you understood its significance, you would, and you valued it for that, not to take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like anything, you don't touch things when you're out. But the only thing I can put it down to is the old ways of saying for devilment, that maybe somebody just removed it. I don't think it would be in badness, and I don't think anybody would destroy it.
Okay, well, we need to sort
out. And
out.
if it fell over, you can see around the area, Greg. If you go up for a run and you just park and walk to the left of the fort, and then just there's a wee path down the hill, not very far, just down the hill, and you'll find the well. Now, it's a pity that the cross is gone. I know it wasn't original to the site, that's okay, but because it was there, you saw where the well was much easier.
Yeah, it was
but
an identifier. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, we'll see if we can get to the bottom of the mystery of the disappearing cross.
I know. I would love to know. I would love
be...
somebody just to put it back. It doesn't matter why they took it if they just put it back, because it's part of that, and it's such a pity that it's gone. And it didn't look in such bad condition that somebody would have taken it to repair it. That I could see.
No, it doesn't look to be in that condition. But listen, stranger things have happened. Someone's going to know. It's just a case of whether or not they decide to share the information with us and us with you. Catherine, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you,
Take
Greg.
care. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Have you any idea what happened to the wooden cross that was located at St. Patrick's Well, Green and Avalia in Inishowen? It's off the beaten path, unless you beat the path to the well, but you know what I mean. And it was there in May 2019. It's not there now. When did it disappear? What happened to it? I know some of you out there might know. Let us know. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Treat yourself to a tasty meal at Backstage Bar and Grill, an exciting movie at Century Cinemas, and explore Century Play. Get in touch with our team today on 074 912 1976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex.
There's great decisions being made every lunchtime at Kelly's Diner Letterkenny. Like, will it be chicken and bacon Caesar salad, or the club special with hot turkey slices and smoked bacon? Maybe homemade goujons with chips, or one of the famous all-day breakfasts. There's lunch specials from just $6.50 served every Monday to Thursday from 12 to 3 and a full a la carte menu served all day at Kelly's award-winning diner, Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
Ihe an déanóibh a bhí ann dé damhnaigh an tríú Abron, agus tá na chóirithirí críochna ag bailiú firmacha déanóibh. Ní mór gach firm a cheola arás. Mar sin, mar bhfuil déir an bailithe le a thul, stair fustan is sé, chuig an seola ar thaobh tosaigh na firma. Tá breis le fáil ar census.ie. Bís an áireamh.
Burgundy or Bordeaux, Chardonnay or Champagne. Ooh la la! Centra's French wine cellar, so much choice. With a wide range of offers to suit any summer soiree. Visit Centra until the 8th of June to pick up your bargain bottle. Celebrate summer. Choose Centra. Centra. Live every day. Always drink responsibly.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to beautiful Mallorca every Friday this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best beaches. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Sunny spells and scattered showers this afternoon. In the evening, cloud will increase with outbreaks of rain and drizzle in the west. Highest temperatures 13 to 15 degrees. Winds mostly moderate. Tonight, cloudy with rain and drizzle extending eastwards. The rain will clear by morning. Southwest winds increasing moderate to fresh. Temperatures 8 to 10 degrees. So tomorrow, it's not going to be a bad day, for us here in the northwest. Sunny spells and scattered showers. But your evening will be dry and temperatures will be 13 to 16 degrees. That wind, though, will continue to be moderate, but if it's not driving a cold wind, it's not so bad, is it? Right, okay. Let's see where we're at. Time for some of your comments. Hi Greg, could you please have a discussion on this? I own my own hair and beauty business in Letterkenny. I pay rent, taxes and I employ others. I'm sick of people coming in and giving abuse how they can get it done cheaper up the road by someone else. I can't understand how the black market economy is going on undetected. Since COVID, business has got all the more competitive and difficult for me to stay in it. The cost of products is rising, causing me to increase prices. There's also a shortage of staff as people are no longer going out to work because they can stay at home on benefits and make a small fortune unquestioned from home. What is social welfare doing about this? I'm at my wit's end with it all. This morning, I did someone's hair, and when I said €90, she said, "Oh, that's very expensive. I can get it done in such and such a house for €50. Surely you can match that price. If she can make a profit at €50, why can't you? It's so frustrating." Right, okay. So really what it is this person, hair and beauty business in Letterkenny, they're paying all the overheads, but someone else is operating out of a room in their house, may not or maybe paying all, they're not paying maybe the water charges or what have you, and they're able to do the same hair much cheaper, and that business person is being forced out of business because they can't compete, but also they're tired of having to explain this to customers. I presume it's not just that industry, there's bound to be others. 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and text to that number, or call 07491 25,000. The tickets for the Donegal game went on sale on Friday, and I tried immediately, started trying, but the system was constantly busy. Then I tried to get them in the usual shop I get them in, but they don't have any and are not getting any either. I've since been told that they're sold out and that most of the tickets went to Derry clubs. Can anyone clarify if this is true or fair? Tickets bought within hours. Clubs got tickets, none for general release. So it was only tickets available from clubs, seemingly. But also, obviously, it's a big game, huge interest. But the attendance is 28,000, which is smaller than previously, I think. So that's more demand, less tickets. It's going to cause problems, isn't it? The Earth is 4.5 billion years old, has had lots of catastrophes, example earthquakes, tsunamis, supervolcanoes erupting, and many, many asteroids hitting the planet, but we wrecked it in less than 200 years. Yes, indeed. We really got to work quickly. Amyloidosis, known as C8, people that have passed due to getting it lived around Derry, Donegal and the Antrim coast, mostly put down to DuPont plant leaks and people working in there. I don't know how that would explain the genetic spread of it, though, because unless it coded the genes, I don't know. I don't know. I only know what I've heard from our guests talking about it. Last one before we go. Myself and my wife walk the town park in Letterkenny, I presume, on a regular basis for some exercise in a safe place. But an increasing problem we are facing is the lack of parking. This morning I counted 20 cars in the park, and yet there was only 6 people in it in the park. While I was counting, another elderly couple arrived and had to pull up out again as there was no parking available. It's clear that people are using these spaces so they don't have to pay for parking for a hospital appointment. Can anyone or anything be done about this? It's a fantastic facility, but it's being wasted by the lack of parking. Is that a problem? We can return to that tomorrow. People using the town's car park as a car park to go elsewhere. Let us know if that is a problem that you faced. 086 60 25,000. Listen, thank you